Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Subverted Subversions, the podcast that came to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and frankly, we're all out of bubblegum. So, I am your host, co-host, Jesse Larkins. I am the author of Soap Scum. I am with my dear friend and co-host, King Cringe. How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? Yeah, we're here to, I guess, kick ass and listen to soundtracks today, so that's what it's all about.
Kick ass, listen to soundtracks, and chew bubblegum if we end up finding it. We're also here with, the amazingly, the wonderful talent, the great musician, KALOB Petty, the mastermind behind the project, Tavora Lea. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. This is very exciting. I'm excited.
Yeah, we've been uh,
Yeah,
we've been dying to have you basically since we started the show. I was kind of like, okay, we got to get you were like one of the first people. I was like, King, we got to get to Worley on. We got to get him out of here.
yeah. You
Yeah,
had
man,
like
I didn't
sent like his music to me before. It was pretty cool.
yeah, I when I met Jesse, I wasn't aware. I don't know how long it took me to become aware of the podcast, but it's cool that you guys are doing this. So, I'm glad that we have a space now where we can like really get in depth about things cuz I've been talking to both of you guys for a little bit now, but Jesse and I we've gone back and forth for a good while now about things. So, this will be fun. This will be cool.
Yeah, man, it's a long time coming. Yeah, we've just been chit chatting and yeah, developing a great friendship the past few months. And I think just randomly out of the blue, I was like, oh yeah, by the way, I've been recording a podcast.
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
want to you want to be on it? Uh, yeah, so yeah, finally came to.
I'm actually
Yeah,
curious. How did you guys like first meet? Like, were you just like searching for music, Jesse, or?
Okay, the synchronicity is fucking insane here because I think I can't remember if it was Agitator or TPN. I'm diehard fans of both of those. I forget which one came first, but I was just listening to your episode, and then like I pulled into my apartment complex, finished the episode, checked my notifications, and you added me on Instagram. I I I was like, how
yeah,
the fuck? How did he
yeah, yeah.
find me?
Yeah, I think we talked about it. I think you said it was the agitator one, and that was the very first one I did, so that would make sense.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think of what happened. I mean, it may have been as simple as like you popped up on my thing. I saw that we had mutuals. I think maybe like Kelby or a couple of those guys were following you, and I saw that you
Hmm.
were an author, and I'm into like a lot of the independent dudes that I know that are writing books. I mean, I fuck with a lot of it. So I was like, I'll follow you. So the timing of it was really cool. And then, it took me a while, but then I eventually got Subscum and I read it and I burned through it pretty quick. And I mean, I can honestly say it's one of my favorite, like, independent books one of my favorite books in general that I own. It's great. It's a great book. You did very well with it.
Yeah,
Thank you so
man,
much.
it's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it was, at least for me, it was like very kind of experimental. Like reading it, like it's got like the short phrase. It's not like your typical book, I guess.
No, no. And I mean, that's why I don't know if I told anybody about it. Maybe I said it to Jesse, but it reminded me, like, at least in like a general energy and vibe, it kind of reminded me of a little bit of like Broken River stuff. I think I told you, Jesse, too. It reminded me of When You Bleed to Death.
Yeah,
Um,
that oh, man, that's been sitting in my cart forever. I still need to I still need to check that out. That sounds right up my alley.
yeah, it's great. And I mean, like the short story stuff, I really like because I don't know, I like that like sense of like you can just ingest all this stuff like really really quickly, and it like moves you, but it's not like this huge thing, and then you can just jump right onto the next one. And Yeah, the format that you did it in is just really good. And I mean there's stories in there. They affected me really well. So yeah, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah, man. No, it was great for you to reach out and we just immediately kind of like me and King, me and you just immediately had this total, mind melding, me and you, our brains merging together and really going over, your work and how Soap Scum kind of connects to your work, and how the vibe of your shit makes me feel, how it relates to me and all that stuff. And yeah, man,
Yeah, it's
really
very
really great synergy. And yeah,
a
symbiosis
lot of
there.
a lot of like psychic ping pong kind of stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that like one of the first questions, like the connections between Tavora Lea and Soap Scum?
Yeah. I mean, it was a self-serving thing. I was gonna save it for a little
Hell yeah.
while,
Oh,
Word,
okay.
word, word.
but I did kind of want, But it's funny that we immediately started talking about, the synchronicities, because it's like, our friendship is founded on it basically. So there's no way around it.
Yeah, I find that a lot of the creative sort of partnerships that I have with people that go a little bit beyond the creativity and into an actual friendship. I mean, a lot of that stuff, in my experience, is generally founded on a lot of the synchronicities and a lot of just like weird little timing kind of things. And yeah, it's I don't know, it's really strange. It's a beautiful thing though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that's damn. That was one of my questions. I was gonna ask about maybe we could just start out. So like, do you have like, so what's your take on like synchronicities, Caleb? Do you believe in like fate and stuff like that, or?
It's really cool that you're bringing this up because like I was thinking about that. I actually looked up last night because I just finished True Detective season 1 for like the third time last night.
Nice.
It's my favorite. I think it's probably my favorite like TV thing probably ever made. But the Russ Cole, the main character in that, he's a fatalist, and I looked that up. 'Cause I didn't really know exactly what it meant. I had an idea, but it's like, so this idea that like you're sort of born into your fate, and it is what it is. And I don't know. I guess I'm kind of still debating on how I feel about that. But to answer the first thing, like, yeah, I 100% believe in synchronicities. I believe that if you pay attention to these little things that you kind of pick up on, um, that's sort of like the path for you. And I think God, speaks to you in kind of like special language. So you're the only one that can really pick up on these little things. So something that's like really, really significant to you, if you tell that to somebody else, they'll be like, all right. Like they don't really like understand what you're talking about. But like to you, it makes all the sense in the world. And it's like this really affirming, kind of religious, spooky experience. And I think it's a really special thing. So, but in terms of like fate and stuff, I mean, like, yeah, I think if you follow your gut, and I think if you follow the synchronicity, I think if you follow that sort of feeling, you're on like that path. And that path that's not going to be like easy or perfect or whatever. It's going to come with a lot of pain, but I think it's like this sort of like the one that you're supposed to be on. And if you don't block yourself off from those experiences, I think that's where you're going to get to the heart of whatever it is you're looking for in this life. And I think, if you're an artist or something like that, like it's even more important because you're going to get a lot of shit out of that. So yeah. Predetermined though, I mean, I've never been big on predetermined destiny. I guess at the end of the day, I don't really think that it's predetermined. I do think that like we have choices, and you can make the wrong choices. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
man.
part of the synchronicities is like trying to like make better choices, I guess.
Yeah, because you can choose to ignore those signs if you want to. And and it's also maybe about interpreting whether they're positive or negative signs, and how maybe I should respond to them or something. But I completely agree with everything you just said.
No,
Yeah,
man.
I think
Yeah.
learning to listen to your gut, I think, is something that you can do as you get older. And I think that's a big thing because when you're young, I think it's a lot easier to just react from like impulse and whatever makes you feel good or what is exciting. And I do think at the end of the day, you should still follow things that are exciting. I believe more in the present moment and experience than I do in like a sort of rationalism that certain people take towards life. But at the same time, you can't just throw everything to the fucking wind, because you might just end up like out of your mind or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think on like just from our side of the pond, like uh, I do agree. Like obviously, you can't just follow your gut and just like be like a retard and I'm just gonna indulge in these million things. But I find that our
Hmm.
side, I don't know if it's like it's because of a less connection to art or something, but they do seem very rationalistic in how they approach art.
Yeah.
They're always like if you just follow, like at least from our authorial space, it's like following the what is it, the hero's journey, and they'll come up with all these like story circles or whatever. And I don't know, like the the want for like magic or like special things happening just isn't I think presented in the art that much, at least from our side.
No, yeah, I agree. And when you say our side, I mean you're kind of talking about like sort of like a right wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like kind of internet vibe. I mean, I've noticed that, and as I am like getting older, I have a little more beef with that general space, I guess, just because I do feel like a lot of it is sort of, I don't know, it's hard. I feel like there's like this middle ground that I occupy that I like personally, and I think there's a lot of stuff on that side that does sort of start to become a little too rigid,
Hmm.
and there is a lacking of like a sort of freedom there, and like yeah. So I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I definitely agree with you. There's
Yeah.
a rigidness there, I think sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a rigor and a dogma, sort of.
Yeah, 100%.
No, and yeah, actually, I just wanted to throw this in, like in terms of synchronicities. Like it's the same for us when we met. Because I remember, so obviously, like, well, it's not obviously, but like I draw my own art and stuff. So
Mhm.
usually, you would think like if I'm a visual artist, I would just like make comics for, like everybody else, right? But like for some odd reason, I like went down the author path. I decided to like write, and that's like the only way I met Jesse. Like if I hadn't become an author, like there's no way I would have like met Jesse, right? And there's really no reason for me to do that. And just like looking at all these things and how like it was insane how like we kind of instantly, because you talk to a lot of people in this space, and some people they talk to you, some people don't, but like we just kind of
Mhm.
instantly clicked, and like we were like, oh, you listen to this band or whatever, and just things like that. I think that's obviously what happened with you and Jesse too, Caleb. It's just like I don't. It's really weird because you don't think it happens, but like there's just instant connection. You just kind of like know it just zaps into your brain that this is like the right thing.
Yeah, that's I was talking to this girl last night kind of about this, where it's like, you meet so many people, and most of them it's just kind of like it's like an acquaintance thing, and like people are nice or whatever, but yeah, there's like it's a really special thing when you meet somebody and it's like boom, like immediately, and like it just goes deep, and it's this really really cool thing. And again, I think that's one of the most important things to follow. Like back to the synchro, like you can follow synchronicities and signs and stuff, but like in terms of relationships, I mean that's a great thing to like hold on to and like be very cognizant of like having, because it is rare, I think, ultimately to I've known a lot of people in my life, and I mean I think I can count on like one hand like the people that I like genuinely like trust or like fuck with. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and that's cool that you do that. You sort of decide you have like this artistic decision to do something different, and that's cool, and then that leads you to like one of your best friends. So I think that's great.
Yeah, man. I like to imagine that even if he had made a comic book, we still would have been best buds or something. But it is just crazy how every little thing just kind of falls into place. I gave up on writing books. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I was like 5, I was writing books, and they were dog shit, obviously, but that was just I was obsessed with that.
Yeah,
And then in high school, I had this total like, oh wait, I'm autistic about movies, I need to be a filmmaker.
right, right, right.
So I just like gave up books, for, you know, like a decade or something. I just kind of ignored books and just focused so much on movies. And then all of a sudden, you know, just like this mounting lava of pressure erupted where I was just like, fuck it. Okay, I'm I'm so sick of being told what I can and can't write. I'm gonna write a fucking book. And that has just had this crazy, weird, synchronistic trickle effect where I've met just like all the right people at the right times. And yeah, I've just like found, I mean, like, yeah, fuck, dude, I have a podcast now with like my homie, and it's just insane.
Yeah, and I don't know how common it is for artists to feel like because if you're a creative person, I feel like it's very natural to like want to explore other mediums too. So like, you know, because I've thought about that. I've thought about trying to do film to an extent, and like music videos are very much like another part of, you know, being a musician. So like that's fun because that's like a whole other creative outlet. You can write scripts for them, and you can come up with like, you know, this like the general like atmosphere and like do scenes, and you can, you know, connect with a lot of people in that way. um
Yeah, you can act in them.
yeah, acting, a lot of that stuff. So it's like I've thought about like, you know, music is obviously the thing that's been dominant in my life. That I've tried to like do other things, but that's the thing that always comes back, very much like writing for you. And but I just feel like natural to want to explore that, and it's still very much something that I would like to try to get into if I could. But I mean, music is so much fucking work alone, like making a record and, you know, playing shows and like all this shit, and like you don't have any money, and so it's just like you have all these ideas and all these like things that you want to do, but at the end of the day, you're like, sometimes it's like a miracle that you can like wake up and like write a fucking song. So
Not to get too sidetracked, but I saw you posted on Instagram. You just did a performance at like the Poorhouse or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
How'd that go?
So that was cool. That wasn't my stuff though. I was just playing in my friend's band. But it was great. It was a lot of fun.
So
It
there's
was
no
my
Tavora Lea songs.
no, none of my stuff. It was strictly my homie's band, and that was my first show that I played with them. And they decided to kind of throw me on, and yeah, I mean, I guess at this point I'm technically a fourth member, so I'm kind of in this band too. But that was great because that was the first time that I really got to like get up and just kind of do my like thing with like other people, like in this actual setting with like a decent crowd on a stage. And like as soon as I got up there, I was like, oh dude, yeah, like this is like this is what I'm supposed to like do. So it was a very like great like life affirming night, and it really pushed me and made me want to be able to do that with my own stuff. So I think, I mean, that's a big goal for this year, is to try to do maybe Tavora Lea stuff. I'm working on all this new shit too. So I mean, I really got to get my ducks in a row in terms of like where I want to put my energy with live performance, and how I want to like pull people together to like try to get that done. But yeah, it was a great experience. It was a really beautiful night.
So was that like
Okay,
the
so
first
then,
time you've ever performed live, or?
yeah,
Not
that was
the
my
first,
question.
not the
Oh,
first time. I have like but I am not someone who is like done a lot of live stuff. This was, I can a handful of times I've done my live performances. This was probably the best it's gone. I remember one of the other shows that I did that was just me on my own. It was my stuff. I was a long time ago. That was probably 22, 23. I was living in Austin, Texas. It was during COVID. I lived at this crazy, weird ass, like leftist hippie fucking co-op. And it was nuts. And like I played a show that night, and that was a good night because again, that was one of those things. It was like it kind of showed me that I have this ability to like sort of I have a good stage presence, and I have this ability to like sort of like control a crowd, even if I'm not like doing that well, like because my shit was like kind of sloppy, but I had this really good like sort of ability to like talk to people, and like and that's like half the battle with like live performance, you know what I mean? Like, so that was cool. But no, man, I mean, like truly, I'm not super experienced, and this is probably like the best experience I've had so far with it. I'm mostly like a studio guy though. I'm a lot more used to just being in my room and like making shit.
Were you playing an instrument on stage, or were you just singing?
I was strictly like a tambourine guy.
Oh, nice.
hey,
Yeah, dude.
nice, yeah.
It was very much like hype man, like energy stuff. It was cool because everybody that I talked to afterwards said the shit that I wanted them to say, which they're like, you were like, you're just like a performer. You're like fucking. He's like, I've never seen someone like own a room with a fucking tambourine. And I was like, well, yeah, like half of that's like playing a character, because you know tamperine's fucking easy. You just get up there and like fucking like as long as you can keep it on time, like you're fine. So like it was very, so like half of that was just me like trying to be like fun on stage, and like I said, I think I have like a pretty good knack for it, so it just ended up being cool. And like there was, you know, I got a lot of cool shit out of it. There was like a lot of dope ass pictures that got taken, and I was just like, hell yeah, dude, this is like, I
Yeah,
feel
I was
like a
gonna
rock
say,
star, even though I just fucking shook a tambourine for fucking
yeah,
30
dude,
minutes.
those pics go super hard. Actually, I really like those ones.
Yeah, I was blown away, man. There was like 2 photographers there, and I was like, oh wow, they got some clean shit. That was cool.
Yeah, dude, like yeah, like really great like black and white profile shots of, you know, top to bottom shots, really great stuff.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was fun. I wasn't sure what to expect, but it was like, again, it was one of those things, you know, like you have like God moments where it's like you're like, okay, this is like a checkpoint or something. Like I'm on the right path, and this is like a good, like, here you go, you're doing it. Keep going in that direction.
Bro, I'm gonna
Hell
use
yeah.
that like checkpoints. That's a good. That's a
That's what
good
it feels like.
phrase.
I feel like, you know what I mean? Like you follow synchronicities and shit, and then like you have like these big like aha moments, and that's what it feels like. It's like a checkpoint. It's like boom, all right, you made it here. Now life's gonna kind of go back to like, you know, we all have the mundanity, we have the reality, all the shit that we have to do, but then like you can keep doing your thing, and then like you're gonna like hit these other big what are they called? They're like milestones, you know what I mean?
Like a
Yeah.
benchmark.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should maybe we should go into the albums a bit now.
Yeah, because I mean,
Totally.
I re-listened to all the discography. I think I didn't listen to the remix, but I had listened to the remix before. I just recently had
Word.
re-listened to the remix. What about you, Jesse? What did you listen to?
For for his stuff, you mean? Or
Yeah, I mean, you've
I
obviously
mean,
like, yeah,
yeah, everything.
yeah, everything.
I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
I've been bumping his shit in my car for months. I basically listen to your shit every day. I mean, I think I told you at one point I listened to sicker than we thought almost every day.
Dude,
That's
it's
awesome.
yeah, that was one of the
that
things.
song
Like,
resonates hard,
I
dude.
think that's my favorite for sure. Sicker than we thought.
Nice.
So
Do you
Yeah.
yeah.
guys do you have a preferred, because there's 2 versions of that one. Do you listen to the OG one, or do you listen to the one that's on Pain System?
I listen to both because they're both so fucking out of this universe incredible. It's really a toss up for me. I think they're both so good, and it just kind of it just depends on kind of what you want from out of it or whatever. I
Sure.
wanted to ask you about the differences between them and why you because it kind of seems like Cinderella, the EP dropped like a month after Pain Systems. So was that just a batch of leftovers basically?
Yeah. So Cinderella ended up being the reception of Pain System was really good. It exceeded my expectations. I ended up getting picked up to do a few podcasts, and I ended up on American Vulgaria magazine. Shout out Ryan Simone. And it was just like the reception was so cool that I was like, I have all these other ones that I liked. So the Cinderella ended up being this thing where it was literally going to be a Pain System B-sides, and that's what I was going to call it. But then as I did it, it kind of took its own shape, and I ended up being kind of like this cool little sex love record. And so I was like, okay, we'll just carry the same aesthetic, but I'll make it its like own vibe. And that's essentially what Cinderella is. So I mean, in a way, yeah, Cinderella is just sort of like a B-side EP of like Pain System, because that was like kind of in the same vein, and I wrote all those songs at the same, you know, time period.
So did the OG remix did you make that first or like around the same, or you just had 2 copies of it, sort of 2 versions of it, and then released the OG remix separately with the Cinderella batch, or how did you kind of come to the remix and the regular version?
So Sicker, the one on Cinderella is the original version of that song. It was
Okay.
one of the first songs that I wrote, that I stuck with. I think I wrote that song when I was like 23. So that's like a fucking 5-year-old song now or something.
Oh
Damn.
Um,
shit.
I know, it's forever ago. And like I wrote that. I was going through like a breakup with my girlfriend at the time. It was a very, very long, painful process, but it was one of the things I was
Oh, no
writing
wonder.
in the
It
throes of it. Yeah,
resonates.
yeah, dude. It was fucking sucked. But that I remember showing that to her, and she's like, "This is like your best song," and I was like, "All right, cool." And I liked it, and I just held on to it for a long time. So it was gonna, I had originally released 2 EPs that turned into the current record and the new EPs that are out now. I released them a long time ago before I knew anybody, and nothing really happened. So I just took everything down, and then I kind of like reapproached it later on. So anyway, I made Sicker, the original version, like I said, when I was like 23, and then as I was working on Pain System and all those new songs, I just sat down one day and fucked around. I was like, I'm gonna make like a different version of Sicker, just because I was like really into like Burial, and like I was watching Climax a lot, and it was like very dance music heavy. So I was like, I'm gonna try to make like a club version of like Sicker and see how it comes out. And it ended up being really cool.
Yeah,
So then
dude.
I put it on Pain. I ended up putting the remix on Pain System, but then I went back and listened to the original. I was like, you know what? The original is just fucking sick though. So I was like, I need to find a way to like put that out. And so I was like, I'll put it on the B-sides, and that'll be cool. And that's essentially how it happened. I just thought that the way that Sicker, the remix, comes in on Pain System just worked really well with the like the flow of the record. So I thought it fit just a little bit better.
Yeah, that's what I felt. I mean, I think your original version is still good, but I like the version on Paint System. But I think it just flows better as an album with the remix version.
Yeah, I think there was just something about like the way that it comes in, and like it drops with like the filter beat, and then I don't know, I was really proud of it. But that's cool. I'm glad, King. I'm glad that you fuck with that version. And I do think Sicker is one of the, I don't know, it's just like something there that's it's cool because it's kind of different too. It's one of the more tender and like soft songs out of like the discography too, for sure. Like there's a lot of like fucked up intense anger and like Tavora stuff that's like kind of abrasive, and Sicker's like a nice reprieve from a lot of that kind of shit.
Yeah, it's funny because I think the first song I sent to King actually was Sicker Than We Thought, and then
Okay.
he went back and listened to your album, and he was like, wait a minute, the album doesn't sound like this.
Yeah, no, dude, and like I do this to people all the time. They don't know what to ever do. Like everybody said this. They're like, oh, we hear your shit that you post on like Instagram. It's like you and the guitar, and then we go and listen to the record, and we're like, what the fuck is happening? And I'm like, yeah, I need to get better at like branding, I guess, because it's like right now it does feel kind of scattered. So
But you also can't
we'll
be
work on it.
pigeonholed,
Well,
like
right, yeah,
you're
sure.
so, you're so colorful, the music's so colorful, and you can't really anticipate it at all. So I feel like your marketing is dead on for what, Tavora Lea actually is, at least for right now, it seems.
Well, it's an extension of myself, which is like sort of a impossible, erratic human being. So that works.
Hell yeah. I was I was showing my girlfriend, I was just like, all right, honey, we're going to be bumping these in the car so I can get refreshed again. And we went backwards. We started with Angels, and then we did Pain
Nice.
Systems. And Angels, she's like, oh, this kind of sounds like, Alex G, there's something,
Word, yeah.
there's something kind of really great about this. And then we go to Pain Systems, or I forget. I think it was either, I think it was the first one on Pain System. She turns to me, she goes, this is scary.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but it's it's amazing. But we both echoed the, Jack mentioned it on TPN, but it sounds so professional. It does not
Yeah.
sound like anything that, someone who makes music in their bedroom would come out with. It really does sound like of a professional studio produced records. It's pretty phenomenal.
That's a compliment that I've still tried to wrap my head around, because everyone said it, and every time I listen to it, I'm like, this is like lo-fi, this is like kind of like clunky, but people do like the production on it, so that's good. I mean, that's a good thing. You know what I mean?
I think it means you're hitting the vibe because like black metal, right? Like the production's really shitty and stuff like that. So it's
Right.
probably like because you're giving off like a more horror vibe. Like the production is exactly where it needs to be. I guess that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's not supposed to be like, I guess it's not supposed to be like super high production quality and clean. It's never, I came up listening to what I listened to too. And I mean, it would be insane of me to be like, oh, this is like, I'm like really, really focused on like clean production. Cause a lot of my favorite bands, like, would make shit on 8 tracks for like in the 90s for like no money. And like I love those records, and it's not about the production quality, it's more about the energy and the soul that gets put into it. So like I was never focused on that. So I just did the best that I could. I became really good at mixing because I autistically sit at my computer for hours, like literally fucking like 6 hours sometimes, just like fucking with the levels. And I met a friend online way back who could master my shit. So I was like, I'm gonna make the songs, I'll mix it, you just do the mastering part of it, and then we'll call it a day. And that sort of became the routine for everything that's been dropped with the Tavora stuff. That's essentially what it's become, is I'll put in the work and I'll do that stuff, and then my homie he'll put the little finishing touch on it.
Nice. I was kind of wondering, in terms of like just the album in general, like did you start off thinking like this is like gonna be like some kind of horror album, or was this just a collection of songs? Like what was the initial ideation process for making Pain System?
Yeah, it was super like on the fly. I did not have a clear vision of what was happening as it was happening until I was maybe about midway through the record, and I was like, okay, I can kind of see where this is going now. Because I had a collection of stuff that I had just made, and then I just started piecing things together in one file. I was like, I was really into horror at the time. I was deeply inspired by Climax specifically. Something at the time in that movie just moved me. I kind of mentioned it when I was talking to Ryan when I was doing American Vulgaria. Like I was in this spot in my life where I was just not doing well. It was just like a rough time. I was like living at home and shit just kind of sucked, and I kind of like got wrapped up into this weird like headspace, and I took some drugs and I watched. Well, I should say first, I was smoking weed like every day at the time. So I mean, I was just on drugs, but like I watched Climax the first time, and it really moved me. And then the second time I was like, I'm gonna take acid and watch it, because I'm like,
Oh my God, bro.
I'm a sick person. So I did that,
One
and
shot
then
at yourself.
it was crazy. And I was like, honestly, it was nuts, because like I ended up just chain smoking cigarettes, like high on acid, watching the movie. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna like try to make something now, because I just felt very inspired by it. So then I was on this kind of horror tip. And then that just kind of became like the vibe for like Tavora eventually, because then I kind of stepped back and like looked at all the songs that I had, and I was like, this seems to be kind of like a theme. So then I just started putting shit together. And I like I said, I had this collection of songs. So like the first I like, the intro to Pain System, that's like literally the file. The way that I made it was I would just piece each song together. So it was just kind of like putting a puzzle together or something. So I was like, okay, I have this first one, and then we're gonna like try to see how this connects. And so then I started fucking with all the soundscapes and the ambient stuff. Everything was sort of inspired by something I had already written. And I was lucky, I guess, because like everything really did just kind of connect. It just connected. And
So
about midway
there's
through the record, I was like, yeah, this is like working.
so there's no like story to the album, because that was something I was wondering, like with the baby screams at the beginning. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
sure if there was like a concept album on abortion or something. I was like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's themes. I would say that the record itself is kind of hard to pin down conceptually. There's something that David Lynch said that made me. I resonated with what he said essentially, where because he was talking about like the way that music usually works in terms of like getting a message across, and he was like, music is a little more abstract, so people can kind of take what they want from it. Whereas like sometimes with film or movies, it's a little more like straightforward. And I don't know if you guys like agree with that, but like I kind of resonated with it because in my mind, I have like this idea of what's happening when I'm making it, but it feels very abstract, and I do feel like there's an emotion and an energy to a record or to a song, but people are going to take away very, very different things from it. But with the baby part of it, like the first song to me was always like this horrible thing happens to somebody that's like, it's like this sort of like death of like innocence thing, or like literally like an innocence person's like death of a child. something really horrible, or just some horrible traumatic experience happens that's like sort of like on like take on like irreversible, right? Like something life altering negative happens and you can never really go back. And so if you're going to move forward in your life, you're just going to have to be a different person that now carries like this scar. So that's what happens. And then the very first line of the record is, "What have you done to my sweet baby? You must be dead. You must be crazy. You must be dead." So it's like, okay, evil, psychotic, sociopath. Again, True Detective was a huge inspiration on this record too. I kind of took themes from that. And then that song ends, and like you can hear like the audio of the woman being like tortured or murdered or whatever you want, and then that shoots into the baby crying, and that little thing is called Rebirth. So then it's like my take on it when I made it was like this horrible thing happens, and then like you shoot out into the rebirth, and then it's like it's just God and it's just nature and it's just this baby. So it's like now it's just you alone with God, and you're going to turn into something else. And you're going to move past it, because even though evil exists, like we can still sort of like find like meaning and like love in life or something like that. So that to me is like the theme of the record, is like sort of
Plot to Eraserhead.
yeah, it's like fucking and you know like the voice that's talking as the baby's crying that goes into the next song, that's actually like a Charles Carroll like clip that I took.
Oh
okay.
shit.
Yeah, and he goes, what does he say? I can't remember exactly, but he basically goes, life is the default sort of setting of life is like pain, and the world we live on is pain. It's called pain system, and the world just runs on pain. And that was really, especially where I was at in my life at the time, it really resonated with me, because in my experience, life does indeed run on fucking pain. And like to me, the default setting of life a lot of the times is just sort of like this ache.
Yeah, I totally agree on that.
Little emo, but
That's why we're friends.
right, it just works. Well, I mean, that's why I resonated so heavy with here. I got Subscam right here. I want to see really quick. I don't remember which one we talked about it, buddy, but it was like the one with the girl in that
yeah. Oh shit.
I can't remember which one. It was a great story. Anyway, I remember finishing that one, and then I went and listened to Sicker, and I was like, yeah, dude. Like, I mean, I feel like Sicker Than We Thought is like a sonic audio version of like that
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, that is true. That's actually on point.
Yeah, it's exactly what I just, it
I'll
resonated.
to kind of give a little spoiler here. I don't mind kind of, teasing people a little bit, but there's definitely a crossover in the future between those two.
Yeah, 100%. I would love
Okay.
to make some shit like that work. I think when you meet people where like the vibes like line up like that, there's just no reason not to do it, and it'll work so well, and hopefully people dig it, and like most importantly, it's just a lot of fun.
Hey, dude, you made so many really great points, and I was just like jotting down notes the whole time. But yeah, your point about it, to Lynch, I really can definitely see a huge sort of like a Lynchian resonance over your work, especially in the new single you just dropped. Actually, it really feels like just some dark peek into a spiraling out of control psyche or something of just like the worst intrusive thoughts, and it's like the soundscape really puts you into this into this really uncanny darkness that's hard to put your finger on, but it's like the best way to describe it is just the darkness. Really, it's pretty insane. The first time I heard this, it's Vicious Circle, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
shout
Vicious
out.
Circle.
Vicious
Yeah, I was
Circle.
just like, this is Lynchian as fuck.
Stream it.
Yeah, that one was really cool. I don't know how you guys find inspiration. I feel like it's different for everybody. This is another thing that Lynch sort of said at one point, but it was just sort of like, a lot of times, like you find inspiration, like you'll just listen to a song, or you'll see a movie, you read a book, play a video game, whatever. and it just ignites this spark, and then like this vision kicks in, and then it just lines up, and then like boom, like you can create this really beautiful thing. I don't know if that's how you guys kind of find inspiration. Some people find it just through day to day. I can do that. A lot of my songs that I've been writing recently have actually been through human interaction, which is kind of cool because it's a bit of a shift. I feel like Tavora has been, a lot of the songs have been inspired by like something that I some sort of media that I take in. But this
Yeah,
song in
man.
particular is just Silent Hill. Like that, I played the remake of Silent Hill 2, and I was so moved by it. And then like I got the ending that I got, and just the atmosphere of it and the vibe, and like I got like the bad ending for Silent Hill
Oh
2,
no.
where it's like James is just like a selfish piece of shit who like doesn't learn from his mistakes despite going through like this fucking nightmare. Um,
You
and
know,
the trophy that you get for it is called Vicious Circle. So I was like, all right, we're gonna make like a Silent Hill thing and put it in a song. And I thought it actually ended up coming out really, really well.
Dude, I didn't
well,
know
and the
that. That's like a synchronicity right there, right? Like it just fits.
Yeah.
yeah,
No, 100%.
dude, the picture you dropped with it was so hard too. You're like,
Yeah.
it's like it's like you're like a POW, like a
Yeah.
POW,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it's also the like the pyramid head thing, sort of. You
Oh,
know,
word. Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know if that was intentional, but that's kind of I was like, oh, it's like a combination of like those two, like the two imagery or the two
it
images or whatever.
it was slightly intentional just because it was cool, because like I was thinking, like I had this whole record idea after I did it, but then I was like, why am I always thinking I don't have to like drop, like fucking we live in 2025, people love dropping singles, like I should just, this song is done, and it would be fun to just do it. So like just drop a fucking weird ass single for like yourself, like that, why not? And so then I was playing this other horror game recently, um and that's when it all hit me at once. I was like, fuck dude, I should just like do it really quick. So like I paused the game, I got up, I like mixed it, I bounced it, and then I was like, okay, I know what I want to do for the art. So I was like, I like stripped down, I like got in my underwear, I took a fucking pillowcase off of my pillow and like wrapped my hands up, put the pillowcase on, and then just stood there and like took this weird ass picture. And it was like, I tried to recreate it later with like this weird lantern that I have that looks like it's from the 1800s, but it didn't come off. So like I was clearly very inspired and locked in the moment that it happened, because that picture has like a dark energy to it that I don't think was able to be recaptured. Which is like
Totally.
photography is really weird in that way too, right? Because it's like there's just a moment in
Mhm.
the picture. It's like a haunt. I sent it to my, I'm doing this other magazine that's coming out like I think in a week or two, and I sent that to my buddy, and he was like, "This picture is like haunted," and I was like, "Yeah, dude, it's like it has like a total um, vibe to it." But the you're talking about the pyramid head vibes, and like, yeah, the idea was like he could either be someone who's about to be murdered, or maybe he's a murderer, or like whatever it is. But there's like I was kind of going for like an executioner energy on him, or like someone who's going to be executed.
Yeah, man. That I mean, that totally it fits the yeah, that strange, uncanny darkness that is just so pure and specific, and again leads into what we were talking about, synchronicities, that you had to take the picture in that moment, you
Yep.
know, at that specific second, or it
Yep.
wouldn't be what it is, and we wouldn't have this, you know, really it's already iconic to me. Like it's just like burned into my brain now.
I was so, thank you for saying that. I was so happy about the vibe of it. I do want to say one thing too, though, is that the way that Tavora works is really, and you know, any art project that I think is like kind of like that you is close to your heart, like kind of like works. Whereas the vibe of Pain System was always like moments of brief reprieve, but you always get sucked back into the darkness, because that was always something that I felt would happen in my own personal experiences in life, unfortunately, which is this thing where it's like you'd have like these very brief moments of like, oh, this is great, but then you'd always just get pulled back into some like shit. Like you just have your own shit. And like Pain System was always like, okay, we'll have like these songs, and then maybe you get a moment of like reprieve with like these pretty ambience things, but then there's like that one section of the song where you get kind of pulled back in, and then like this weird ass voice is like, death is your only escape, and then you get shot back into this weird like kind of darkness. And that's kind of the whole vibe of Pain System, is like you kind of go in and out and in and out of like, you're always pulled back into something that you don't really want to get pulled back into. And then I looked at the drop Vicious Circle against the rest of the discography, and I thought it actually, the discography is even working in a way that way, because I dropped Angels, which is like a much more light kind of record, and it's not nearly as focused on darkness. But then immediately after that, you drop Vicious Circle, that pulls you, like, it's even darker than Pain System in a way. And so then
Yeah.
you get pulled back into it, and then it's called Vicious Circle, which is this idea of like, it's a vicious, you're just caught. It's just this fucking cycle that you can't ever leave. So I thought that was cool, because then it was like, okay, here you go. You have a whole EP of like light, but then boom, Vicious Circle happens, and now we're just back to like square one, where it's like this horrible shit keeps happening. It's fun. It's like this twisted little joke.
Yeah, that's why. Okay, and that's also why there's such a great connection between your shit and my shit, because a lot of my shit is about characters stuck in cycles, stuck and trapped in loops, making the same mistakes over and over again, not being able to, you know, like, even if they have a moment where they can see clearly, like, you know, that they're stuck in this cycle, or even like in your songs, you know, like a moment of like angelic levity or something, there it's right back to, you know, just the cycle of repeated bad habits and addiction and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've always been obsessed with tragedy. I've always been obsessed with the idea that there are like people that just can't fucking learn from their mistakes. And like the character in Vicious Circle, it's like, you know, he goes, like, what do I say in that one? It's like,
You'll never find a way out.
yeah, and you'll never find a way out. And he's like, I don't even think you want to. He's like, I think you like the way that it feels. So like this idea of like this like fucking like hedonist who like, he's like obsessed with his pain, but like at the end of the day, he's always putting himself above other people anyway. And like at the end of the day, he's just a selfish human being who like likes the pleasure that he gains from whatever it is that he does, and that he's willing to destroy his own life and other people's at the expense of his own pleasure. And I love the idea of just like fucked up people. I also love the idea of tragedy, though, where it's like a genuine tragedy, where like maybe like innocent people are subjected to things that are out of their control. They don't deserve it. But, you know, Vicious Circle was more about like on the tip of like, no, this person deserves everything that he gets, but he doesn't like ever want to like change.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, King.
Yeah, no, I was just interested in terms of like inspiration, because you put that, you know, up a bit ago, and I was just thinking about like, so like one of the things that I'm kind of interested in is like AI, and
Yeah.
like how fast you can go with it, right? And I'm pretty bullish on it. I think it's probably the future, but I guess the only thing that I'm kind of iffy about it on is the fact that this is going to sound counterintuitive, but the fact that it makes things so fast. I think in terms of like inspiration, with stuff, sometimes it's really weird where like you need the synchronicities to line up, and like ideas take a while to gestate. And
Yeah.
in terms of inspiration, I don't know if like we start AIing things, like we make things too fast and we're not allowing the ideas to like properly evolve, you know, I guess, in
Right.
terms of inspiration. But maybe the synchronicities will just speed up, and then we'll be working on AI level. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, AI is an interesting thing. I love the mind that like, you know, we live in a very strange time with technology, where it's like everything is happening so fast. Like with technology, like AI is happening, like everything. Like we're just like fucking barreling ahead with this stuff. So I think we're gonna have to learn how to like use all this stuff, because it's obviously made our lives better in a lot of ways. There's also a lot of drawbacks. The AI stuff, though, to me, in my mind, it's always just been a thing where it's just a tool. Real artists are going to make the decisions they're going to make. Some of them are going to like that kind of thing, and they're going to use it, and they're going to use it well, and it's going to be fine. And I think it'll just be like something that you can add on. I really don't I think if you don't have the sauce, as they say, as an artist, you will never be able to rely on anything else like to do what it is you need to do. I just think that you, at least you need to have some sort of vision as like somebody who's making things, but you can make that shit, you can use that shit as a tool. and I think it'll be fine. I just think there are going to be people that maybe rely on it too much or whatever. But I don't view that shit as inherently like negative. I know there's a lot of people that freak out about it, but I don't know. You know, it's like the future. We're just like moving into different times, so people are gonna like
I
have to
think you
like.
probably noticed it, but like at least to me, AI is like a fancy. I think Sam Hyde said this. It's like a fancy autocomplete. It's like it's very flat. It's like it's good for filler, but if you don't have good ideas in the first place, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like you can't really do anything without like human touch. I just think it's gonna be another tool, but like truly, I do think that like people just need to be motherfucking like good at what they do as a foundation. Everything you do outside of that is, but you can do all kinds. I know people that do shit with AI. It's fine. It's totally cool.
Yeah. And I'm also interested in terms of like you mentioned Silent Hill and you were like playing other games. Like, do you play a lot of horror video games? Is that what influences Tavora Lea, or are there any like video games you play, stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I love games. I've been doing that shit forever. Yeah, I'm a big horror guy, 100%. I love horror movies. I love horror games for sure. Silent Hill 2 was the last one that I played that really like sparked something in me specifically. I've been watching, I watched like the last two. I watched like the original Evil Dead, and then I watched the 2013 Evil Dead. Those are great movies.
Okay.
You know, Pain System was really inspired by like Terrifier. Um,
Yeah, you got a
Climax.
whole track called Terrifier.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
that ended up being really cool. I thought that worked out really well. But Tavora, I mean, to me, Tavora is sort of a horror-ish project. I think I'm giving it room, clearly, like with Angels. To me, it feels almost like a religious project too, in a lot of ways. I think there's a lot of focus on like immaterial and like God, and sort of like themes in the realm of like gray area, but also very black and white. Like this is sort of objectively evil. This is sort of objectively good. Um, but like yeah, I think most of the inspiration behind like Tavora's stuff comes from horror, and Tavora to me is fun. I've sort of almost accepted like ruling out the idea of like any kind of mainstream or commercial like pickup with things like Tavora, or like you know even like to be mainstream, but just like even building an audience almost in a way, which might sound like a black pill thing, but like to me it's just so fun. To, it's like so like you know because you heard Vicious Circle, it's like a lot of it's like almost barely music in a way. Like
Mm.
it's fucking soundscape, atmospheric. A lot of people have told me when they listen to Tavora that they think I should be doing like horror soundtracks for movies or games, and
Dude,
like
that'd be sick.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm super open to that. Like I would love to be able to channel like a Tavora energy like into something like that. And so Tavora for me is almost like my experimental art project that I get to like be a nerd about and just have fun with and like play with that kind of stuff. And that's why I'm really glad I have these new songs that I'm working on, because that to me is my more like band centric, classical, like singer songwriter kind of stuff that I very much have a talent for and an interest in. I'm not ruling out Tavora for like live performances and stuff, but I do recognize kind of what it is and how much more experimental it is. A lot of people have been telling me that this last song reminds them of like Perverts by Ethel Cain, which I don't know
Oh
if you guys have heard
yeah.
that.
What is that?
Bro, I got
It's
freaked out by Ethel Cain in the sense that I forget I was reading a review or something, and like I'm not really a horror guy, and this was way back when I think they released their first thing or whatever. And I read the review and it was like there's a track where like because it's like the story about like somebody turning like trans and then they like get into prostitution and then they get like captured by like a cannibal, and it's like apparently an 11-minute track of like them screaming as they get chopped to death. Is that about
yes,
right?
yeah, see,
What
yeah,
the
see, it's in the same wheelhouse where it's just like the thing that Ethel did though is that like her first record is like almost poppy with a little bit of darkness, but really it's mostly like it's pretty straightforward like music. So then she built this huge audience and struck a chord with folks, and then she came out with Perverts, and so now she can like have eyes on, like you said, the 11-minute cannibal fucking scream track, which is like to me like a dream. It would be great if I could just make like, because like I was getting weird with Pain System. I was like, should I take the audio of the rape scene from Irreversible and put it in my record? And I was like,
my
I was,
God.
I know, I was like, I don't know. I was like, you're like, I'm like, bro, you're just gonna isolate. You don't even have an audience. You're just gonna, people are just gonna think you're unwell. I still did though. I mean, I still took the audio from the
Yo,
climax
that's
with the
awesome.
chick screaming. Well, yeah, it's fun. It's like it's just like Tavora's just satiating like the dark curiosity in me, and like I think that's just what it's about. Like it's, to me, it's genuinely, it's just an outlet, and I think for that's, it's just fun. So the fact that people even like talk about it at all, I guess to me is like a huge, beautiful. Like I said, it exceeded my expectations. I'm like doing an interview for a magazine with like people who have like actual audiences, and I'm like, I don't know how this happened at all.
No, stuff's weird. I am curious though, because you've been talking about God a lot. Are you like Christian? Because I am, but I was just wondering.
Okay, word. Um, yeah, man, I guess I am. I'm like non-denominational,
Yeah,
and I don't love the term, spiritual. I feel like that's sort of like this thing that people now say because they don't not believe in things, but they're kind of like, they don't want to be like Christian or whatever. But as I get older, I lean more into it for sure. And I do think that there's a lot of themes in my stuff that is very like blatantly Christian. I mean, I grew up in the South. My grandparents were Catholic. I'm an American. I mean, I feel like Christianity is just like this. It's a huge part of Western civilization. So I just feel like it's ingrained in me, whether I want it to be or not. And I mean, I grew up in a household that was not religious at all, which is cool because it's given me the ability to explore things that I think people who are genuinely hardcore Christians would not allow themselves to explore.
yeah,
But I am, you know what I mean? But like at the same time, I think I am, more so. But like
yeah.
right now, I would just say non-denominational. But I definitely am like a believer in God, and I think that as I get older, I just want to go more straight to the source of it because it brings me a sense of peace and like wonder that I think I would not have otherwise.
I know. Yeah, like just how you were talking about like pain system is like having darkness but like having hope to pull through. I think that's like kind of a through line that I think seeing that it was just kind of something positive to think about, and that kind of happens. You know, so
Yeah, and
that
that's
was
what
really
the whole
interesting.
thing, right? I mean, we're all like flawed, like sinners, and like I mean, I've sinned like a motherfucker, and so
Yeah,
like, but like redemption, it's a big thing. Building something out of nothing, coming back from horrible shit. It's a really inspiring, beautiful thing.
no, yeah, for
I am obsessed
sure.
with tragedy, though. I like the idea of tragedy. I like the
It's
things of
tragic.
like being meant to like be, but then just like not happening. There's something really powerful in that to me too.
Yeah. Also, that makes me think because this is something that me and Jesse were talking about in terms of because I think you can see it from the other side as well. Like, I guess in terms of like if you're thinking in terms of like George Soros or something like that, where like artists, a lot of artists are like inspired, right? And
Yeah.
me and Jesse were talking about the idea of like inspiration between good and evil because I feel like
Mm.
the other side does have inspiration, I guess, from Satan, you could say, in a way, where they're
Yeah.
like doing, where you'll see music videos where like people are like, oh, here's my devil horns, and like we're sacrificing babies, but it's like it's in a music video, so it's ironic. It's ironic Abramovich food spirit eating, and
Yeah.
it, at least with your stuff and like a lot of the stuff where me and Jesse do, where it's kind of like, um, it's not the clean cut like good, and sometimes it's hard for me to think about whether or not like my inspiration is like good or evil, or the divide between that in terms of where we get ideas from.
Totally. Um, I think the mainstream kind of like Satanism and focus, like what was like Lil Nas X like twerking with like devil horns and he's like gay. I mean, like I think a lot of the modern kind of like anti-Christian, like Satanist shit is almost like weak as fuck at this point. Because like Marilyn
It
Manson
is.
did that shit like when it was like dope to do it, and he's legitimately like freaky, and like there's a lot of anger there, and he's like a freak. Um, I think that's like with like what you got. I mean, I don't know how you guys approach it exactly, but like I get inspired by like darkness, but the idea is to me, my shit feels like anti like nihilism. So like
Mm.
I guess what I like to do is I like to look at nihilism and I like to look at the negative effects of like what nihilism actually is, and then sort of counterpose that with things that have meaning. So like you look at like a nihilistic character that's like doing these horrible fucking things, and then sort of like putting that under a magnifying glass as to why that's actually so horrible to be that way, and that people like that exist, and then sort of like bring about like some form of like a solution or like hope to the situation, because we live in a very, I feel like we live in like a deeply nihilistic time period in society where like nothing really matters, and people are making all these strange arguments about all this kind of weird shit. And that kind of ties me back to God in a way too, because it's like that to me feels like anti nihilism. So it's like the fun part of being able to like focus on darkness, but like not to glorify it, and not to like, I'm trying to like actually like, I guess with Tavora, it's like in a way of like, I like the idea of making people uncomfortable, because it shouldn't. That's why I love Terrifier. Like evil shouldn't make you feel good. Like evil should make you squirm, because it's evil. It's bad. Like if you have,
Yeah.
if you have a family, like you don't want you don't want bad shit to happen to your kids. Like that's a horrible thing to happen. So yeah, it's like looking at it, but like in a more realistic light. Like we're not trying to glorify like fucking Satan or something.
Yeah, like I write a lot of I hate nihilism, but I definitely write a lot of like nihilistic characters, or characters that are, stuck in nihilistic predicaments or whatever.
Yeah,
But I try to infuse that, and present it with as much of as much like pain and like personal loss and regret, that I hope it doesn't completely come across as like that, like I'm like fully endorsing like their nihilistic downfalls. It's cathartic for me to be able to express pain that I've been through, or that I've seen or understand. So it's definitely not an endorsement by any means to be just presenting them. It's really, hopefully you walk away feeling like, oh fuck that, that really sucks. I don't, I can either relate to that, or I hate being in that situation, or that that misery or whatever.
yeah. No, I think your stuff comes off that way completely. I don't think it's. I don't finish Soap Scum coming away being like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna like go be like a piece of shit. I think the like again like the story that really hit me really well with the girl was like, yeah, it's like, here we go. It's like this is like a very like great example of like tragedy and not being able to it's like shit slips through your fingers or something. Like you fuck up, you make these mistakes, and like there's no going back. And I think, yeah, I think you did that very well with that kind of thing, and you just described it very well too, because it's not a glorification, and it's catharsis. That says there's a catharsis in it. It's like, yeah, you have your own shit, but like in my day to day, I don't actually want to be a nihilistic person. Like if I have these thoughts or emotions, like I can express them in a way that's like actually useful and helpful to myself, if nothing else. And then I can try my best to go about being like, a regular human being, whatever that means.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I appreciate you saying that. It makes me feel more confident that it's coming across the right way. I
Yeah, I
just
don't.
remembered actually that story is called Doodle Bop, or
Yeah,
a moment of silence for Pepe Le Pew.
yeah. Doodle Bob. That's what it is.
Hmm.
Was that the
Totally sick.
one where? Because there's two ones with the girl. Was that the one where like the person crashes the car at the end, or?
That's Kirby. We're talking
Oh,
about the one where the guy like fucks the girl, but she's got all those issues.
oh, was that the one that I wrote my review about?
Yeah, yeah.
Bro, that is the hardest hitting story in that collection, I
Yeah,
think, for
I
Yeah.
sure.
totally. I'm there too. Yeah.
I mean, dude, and I might have mentioned this before. I don't remember, but it's like, yeah, I really did love her, and I love him, and I like, yeah, I still think about like where I left him and how I left her, and I'm just like, I can't believe I fucking did that, because they just feel so real to me now, and I love them so much. And yeah, it's just like, I can't believe I'm such a, I feel like a vindictive little, puppet master. But
No,
yeah, yeah.
that brings up something that I've thought about a lot, which is that and Caleb, you might be able to expand on this a bit more. Um, like art is like a reflection of life in the sense that
Mm.
in terms of I'm not sure how you could be necessarily not believe in God if you're an artist, because if you think about it, like you as an artist, right, you're creating these worlds, right, and then obviously the characters inhabit it. You're kind of like God in a way, and you're like remaking them, and then sometimes you have to like put them through horrible shit like Jesse does all the time. And it's
Yeah.
like it's almost like a reflection of how life works when something bad happens to you and you're like, why God, why the fuck would you do this to me? But it's kind of like
Yeah.
in the book, and it's like kind of reversed. And yeah, it's something that I don't know if you could be atheist. I mean, I guess you can, but like you're working with this medium so much where like, you know and you've probably done it with songs where the song takes on its life of its own. The characters, they have their own thoughts of what they need to be, and sometimes you're like, yeah, you need to go here, and then other times you're like, no, the plot asks for you to be this way, so we're gonna have to like shoo you in over here, you know.
Right. Yeah. Um, I mean, yeah, I agree with that, just because like from where I'm standing, it's like it's been such a huge thing for me, in the way that like I gather inspiration, or the way that I like to like write stories. And I guess the fun part about Tavora is that it is almost like there's a lot of character driven kind of stuff. Like Tavora in itself is like a character, I guess. I
Right,
could
'cause it's
see
not called Caleb Petty.
what's up.
Right, because it could be called Caleb Petty, but you want there to be a separation or whatever, right? That's why it's called Tavora Lea.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was the whole thing, because like I was like, I'm not naming this project like my name. Like that's ridiculous. Like this has to be like, um, it's like its own little world. And I mean, again, that's like with the inspiration from like horror and like all this movies and stuff. It's like I can write about things that like I haven't even necessarily experienced, or like we can go like super dark with it, and like it's like it's almost like creating its own world. Um, Whereas like the
Yeah,
new stuff
dude.
that I'm writing is going to be under my name, because that it's genuinely just sort of like I'm like just writing songs. It's almost I almost don't even view it as like art in a way. Like I'm like just like writing shit for the hell of it, because it makes me feel good.
You're talking about the like the acoustic stuff you sent us. That's gonna be under your name.
Yeah, that'll just be Caleb Petty probably.
Oh no
Okay,
shit. Okay.
yeah, that was self-important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks,
really.
man. Yeah, I think that stuff has a lot of potential, and I mean that's where the fire is right now. I don't think I'll ever, because every time I think, I'm like, all right, I'm done with like Tavora stuff, or like I'll be like, I can't like get inspiration, but then like I'll be hanging out one night, I'm like, well, no, this part of me still exists. So it's like I said, I think I'm just gonna have fun with it and let it comes as it comes. But there's just a lot of fire under this new stuff right now, and the reception to it is across the board pretty positive, and so I think that's going to be a lot of fun to explore, and I have a lot of hope for it, and I think it'll be good with live shows and all this other stuff. But the inspiration for those songs are totally different, because I don't take a lot from media with those. Like I said, like I'll have an experience. That shit's more from like day to day stuff, and I really like that. I like being able to take stuff from like some interaction that I have with somebody for like a 15-minute conversation and be like, I'm going to turn that into a song. There's like a song on the new record. I was driving one night, I was working, and I had these three girls in the back of my car, and they were like rave chicks. And we hit it off, we started talking, it was cool. And then like they were like, yeah, we're going to a rave. And I was like, oh, you guys like on drugs? And they were like, they kind of looked at me, and I was like, look, I'm not a cop. You can, tell me, it's fine. And they're like, yeah, we're like on Molly. So they were all like on Molly in the back of my car. And then we were driving, and then I noticed there was this one girl who didn't talk much, but she was very pretty. And I was like, I don't know. I just like the very male part of my brain was just like, oh, like I could see, I could theoretically see a future with this person. Why? Because she's like hot. And then like, as I'm pulling up to like the place that I'm taking them, two of them start like making out in the back of my car. And then this other girl was like very silent, and then she was just like, as those girls started making out, she was like, oh, I need to like kiss a boy tonight. And so then anyway, I get there, they get out of the car and they leave, and then I'm like, for whatever reason, it just like affected me, and I was like, hell yeah, dude. And I went home that night. I wrote like one of the better songs that I've written, I think, in the past however many months. And so it's like, just like shit like that, like it's fun to be able to write songs about those kinds of interactions versus the Tavora stuff, which is like far more like, I guess, like existentialist and kind of like abstract.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like the lyrics matter more on the acoustic stuff, whereas the Tavora stuff, it's more about like the impression and the initial feelings you get by just being hit by it or whatever.
Yeah, it's like a mood. Tavora's like a mood.
And then, but the acoustic stuff, you actually have like very like laid out lyrics for you to follow, and and like takeaways from them.
Yeah, and I think it's hilarious. That's like the fucking juxtaposition of the two. Like Tavora could not be further from like what it is I'm doing now. So I'm like, I don't even know.
Well, that's what's so crazy, because you are an effortless genre switcher. Like you can just I really feel like you can just accomplish whatever you set your mind to. Like you do rap, you do like horror metal, you do like airy bedroom pop. Like you really you can't be pinned down by anything really.
Yeah, I was gonna ask
it's
as
just
like as a third wheel. Like I know you're doing the acoustic stuff. I think a rap album from you would be cool. I thought one of my favorites was Beacons. I thought Beacons was really good.
Oh yeah, Beacons is amazing.
Dude, yeah. So the I appreciate that. I love Beacons. When I talked to my producer, I was at like way back when we first finished like the first batch of songs, like I think well before this shit ever came out. I was like, what's your favorite? And he was like, Beacons. And I was like, that's shocking. Cause like I don't think of myself as like a rapper. I think the older I get, the harder it is for me to convince myself that I should be like rapping or something. But not because of like anything pretentious either, just because it's like I feel like you have to be like dope as fuck to like rap. And sometimes it's hard for me to convince. I'm like too experimental, like kind of like weird in my own way to like do it. But there are songs on there, and I do think they translate well. I mean, I'm good at it. I love a lot of rap music. I'm a big fan. I've been for a while. But like Beacons is a good example of that.
Protector goes hard too.
Yeah, Protector is that one is almost like
that's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's like new. It's almost like new metal, like Limp Bizkit. Like it's almost like not even like I'm almost just screaming at you in a way. Like
it's so hard though.
I think my favorite rap verse that I ever did was on Brains.
Oh yeah, I was gonna bring up that too, because that also has the it's got the audio from the infamous staircase scene in The Shining.
Yeah, and that was from like a artistic point of view, that's almost like a fuck up, because it's like you're supposed to like hide your samples. Like you can't like sample like the Beatles or like Kubrick that openly, because if I ever got any traction, I'd be fucked. I wouldn't make any money, and I would have to start paying people. You know what I mean? Like I would never be able to afford that sample. So like it's probably good that this shit's like so under the radar, just because it's like I would hate for that song to actually like pop off and then have like Warner Brothers or whoever it is be like, you do realize how fucking blatant that is, right? It's just like ridiculous. But like it just made sense, and it's like I fucked with like the pitching and trying to chop it, and I was like, no, I mean it just works better the way that it is. So like I'm just gonna keep it, because it was like I thought it was a lot of fun, and that was like the sample works well in the song too. Like it ends up it goes well. So it was fun. It was cool.
It's hard, and I every time I'm listening to it, I do my best Jack Nicholson impression.
Yeah.
No, but that's like gonna be the future of AI. Probably is like, yo, AI, make a sample that sounds like this exact same thing, but not.
Right.
You
And then
know?
you can fucking avoid the copyright.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Well, look, I mean, the copyright shit's like bullshit too, though, because it's like, come on, man, I'm just having fun. I'm not like trying to like gank anybody here. I'm just like doing my thing.
I hate
Mhm.
copyright so much, dude. It's like
Oh,
the
it's
worst
ridiculous.
thing ever. I hate it.
Just a bunch of suits. They don't even care. They're just like, no, no, no.
Yeah, and it's like
We can't.
it feels like it's transformative. You put it in a song. You have like what, like 3 minutes of stuff, but like because you have 2 seconds of a sample or something, suddenly they own it. It's like it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty
crazy.
So, actually, thinking about it, just going way back, do you actually have you listened to like a lot of like I guess right wing bands in general? Like, have you listened to like Negative XP and stuff like that? Or there's a new guy called like Yancey that has kind of been around. Don't know if you like listen to any of that kind of stuff or.
No, I don't know. So the thing is like I couldn't tell you anybody that I could even put into a like a genre or like whatever you want to call it of like what is considered like right wing
Yeah.
music. I can say that I know a lot of independent artists, friends of mine, people that have mutual friends that they have more leanings. I mean, I would consider myself that, even though I'm not like explicitly anything, but I'm like, I guess the way that I view things informs the kind of shit that I make or like how I live or whatever. But so I guess I have friends and people that I like admire that would be more considered that way. There's this metal band that I found recently called it's literally called like Conservative Military something or other, and they're like this fucking heavy ass punk band that I think those
Okay.
dudes are. I think that's kind of their vibe. But no, not specifically. I can't
Yeah,
say.
I just remember. I don't know if you remember this, but it was like the first time it was Negative XP with the Scott Pilgrim ruined a generation of girls song.
No, I've not heard that. That's
Oh, okay. That was like kind of a moment, I guess, in like incel, you know, shit back in 2014 or something. And it was pretty big. It had like an 8 million views or something, but
I mean, at one point I was calling my shit like incelcore. I feel like I got past that.
yeah.
I also just thought it was like mad funny.
Yeah, but there's also, I guess, I mean, it's not tech. I guess it is technically, but like, there's the new Yay stuff, which I think is awesome. But I think his beats
I
are
mean,
cool.
I love. I mean, I love Ye. I'll always be like a diehard, Kanye guy. I don't even. I think all this new stuff where people are tripping out. It's like, look, dude, this isn't even like. Who cares? Like,
Yeah.
who
Have
cares? It's just.
have
It's not even. It's not that big of a deal.
have you listened to the new songs with Cut? Because I think me and Jesse have like just been like, you know, fangirling over this shit.
Yeah,
The newest stuff that I've heard from Ye was Don. I thought Donda 2 was fucking incredible.
It was pretty good.
And
yeah.
then the Heil Hitler song. The thing about the Heil Hitler song to me that is, first off, it's a good song. Like it's like again, he's a master of hooks, and the Heil Hitler is just. There's two things about it. First off, objectively, I feel like it's a good hook, and it's good. But then secondly, I think it's fucking hilarious
Dude, it's so funny.
that like
It's so funny.
Kanye West is like out here like he's making fucking like I don't even like the timeline and the trajectory of Kanye. You want to talk about like Shakespearean tragedy? I mean, I think
Yeah.
Kanye in and of himself is like a Shakespearean character. He has this incredible, like, beautiful story of like genuinely talented, like regular, like broke young black kid from like Chicago, single mother. He has this talent. He comes up. He makes a name for himself in the industry. He's at the top of the game. His mother tragically fucking dies as a like consequence really of his own fame and fortune. He carries that guilt for the rest of his life. It affects his music. He goes down this darker path. He's clearly unwell. He has genuine mental problems. And then it just keeps going and it just keeps going until we get to the current moment where it's like, now we have like Black Hitler, and it's just like so crazy. But I think people just take it too seriously. It's just like, look, man, if you don't like it, fuck off. Like, go listen to whatever you listen to. Like, it's like,
and that's the message of the music too. He's just telling everyone to fuck off.
Well, yeah, and it's like, look, we're in 2025. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, it's just funny. I guess. I mean, maybe I'm an asshole. I don't think so. I just think it's like so absurd that it's like it enters the realm of like hilarity.
Bro, I think like Baby Ye was like the comedian. Like he's not actually a musician. He's just a comedian because the new tracks are so funny, dude. It's like some of the funniest shit I've heard. Yeah.
Well, like the shit where he's talking about like being on Nas and like sucking his cousin's dick, and like there's like that one little ad lib where he's like, "I thought I was gay." Like that shit's hilarious, dude.
I'm just like walking around my apartment, just like saying that.
Yeah, I thought I was gay.
Bro, it's just yeah. He's getting people to sing like, what is it? I gave my cousin head, and you're like, yeah, man.
Yeah, dude.
Everybody is, yeah.
Yeah, the fucking gay Hitler arc of Kanye West is extraordinarily hilarious, and
but I also think that it sounds incredible. Like
it's so good too. It's not like bad music.
Song. Yeah.
Well, like this new shit, like Donda 2, and like even the Hitler song, and like all this other stuff. Like, I mean, a lot of this is objectively better than like his era of like. I liked Jesus is King. I thought it didn't get a good rap. In fact, I think Ye is a great record. I think people don't like Ye enough. But like, I still think a lot of this other stuff, like Vultures, to me is fucking incredible. So like, Vultures and Donda 2 to me feel better than Jesus is King or Donda, like the original one. Like, so I think he's even still like he's hitting shit now that he like wasn't for like a little bit there.
Yeah.
I'm a big Jesus fan. I thought that
one
had like a great instrumentation.
Jesus is incredible. I mean, I love like super obscene again, and people are like acting surprised that like Kanye's absurd. I mean, he's been absurd for a long time. Like Jesus is a great example, like talking about eating Asian pussy with sweet and sour sauce, sticking his fist in women like it's a civil rights sign. I mean, there's a plenty of examples of just like, wow, that's fucking ridiculous. Like, it's awesome.
Oh, I was just listening to World War III again, like yesterday, I think, and that's one of my new favorite songs. But surprisingly enough, they censored the word Hitler, but not the hard R.
No, dude, there was yeah, I mean, and like it's so funny because like you can rap about fucking, I mean, you can rap about murdering like white children and probably be on Spotify, but like you can't like talk about like Hitler, and it's like the double standard here is nuts. But like there was a great Howling Mutant tweet, and he was just like singing along to Heil Hitler and like singing the chorus, but still self-censoring at the N-word, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah, man.
It's just fucking absurd. It's just like we live in such a funny yeah, we're probably living in like a dark age. Like we'll probably look back on it as far as like the new like everyone's rich technological era of like extreme comfort. Like we'll probably look back at this era as like, yeah, this was not like a very fun time period. You know, there's a lot of dogmatic, you know, like crazy like liberalism and like a lot of like self-censoring going on. You got the cancellations, you got the Me Too's, you got the fucking all this really horrible shit. The problems with like technology and people learning balance and COVID and you know all this stuff. But like
every day there's something.
But at the same time, I still think it's a very funny. We live in absurd times, and I feel like it's extremely funny to be alive right now. Aside from like the pain and the obvious darkness.
No, comedy's like dead. Real life is just like it's so funny now. You know.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I mean, yeah, Kanye's like funnier than like a lot of people that are like in comedy, and he's also got a lot more balls, I think.
Yeah, stand up is like fucking.
Ugh. I mean, so much. It's so bad. A lot of it is so bad.
It's not good now.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask. I'm curious. Besides, I guess I think you were the one. You were actually the one that started the 4 Friends, the 4 albums thing that we were doing on X. I was wondering, like, do you have like, were those like your musical heroes? Do you have more? Like, I know you had like Sabbath and Zepp and stuff like that. So
yeah, so like Zeppelin is something that I just got into because a lot of people have been talking about it, and my friend in one of the Discord chats I'm in dropped When the Levee Breaks, and I listened to it and I was like, oh fuck, dude, this is like sick. So I started listening to that, and like, I mean, I grew up. I must have been like 5. One of the CDs that my dad had was Paranoid, Black Sabbath, and like, so I mean, that's like core memory, like shit drilled into my soul, and like, I love Ozzy. I love that record. I think some of the best songs ever made by that band. I mean, Randy Rhoads with Ozzy Osbourne outside of Sabbath is one of the best guitar players ever.
I love Ozzy so much.
It's great, and I mean, he's a great example of like kind of like, again, like sort of like a Tavora vibe, where it's like you have this occult dark aesthetic, but there's a lot of light and hope in that music, and it's really inspiring, and it's just pure rock and roll. It's so great. But
It's
I mean,
interesting
yeah, I'm like,
too, because I think Ozzy is Christian, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of like a Tavora reflex.
yeah, I mean, it's like I mean, shit, he's probably less like I love Marilyn Manson, right? But I feel like Ozzy's probably like a lot less nihilistic than like Marilyn was. Like that dude is like, I read his fucking book. I have it here. I don't know if you guys have read it. It's a great, where they call it, it's like
Ozzy book?
Marilyn Manson book,
Oh, okay.
and it's like what is that called when like a dude writes a book about his own life, like a memoir,
Autobiography.
Yeah.
biography? Yeah. So it's like, you read that, it's a great book. But like, dude, these dudes were nuts, like fucked up people. Like, so you
Yeah.
talk about nihilists, like those guys are nihilistic as shit. But like, I love, like, Marilyn Manson's like a big inspiration for me. Like, again, just in like, of course, Yay. I love Sabbath. This is like more in the rock realm. That this would be kind of like the shit that I would cite. I have always, since I was about 19, I mean, Alex G, huge Alex G guy.
Yeah, I got most of his records. I'm a huge Alex G fan.
Yeah, I mean, I just think he's great.
Yeah.
He's very consistent, and I grew up listening to like a lot of I mean, my parents, you know, they're 90s like punk people, so like I grew up listening to a lot of that kind of shit. Like, what did I like? Beastie Boys. There was a lot of Nirvana around. There was a lot of Archers of Loaf, Built to Spill, Smashing Pumpkins,
Nice.
that kind of stuff. As far as like shit I'm into now, I mean, I grew up, country music is a big thing for me. It was always around. I always loved it. I grew up going to like a lot of country shows. I think there's a lot of good country right now. I
Who
love
are
a
some
lot
of
of,
your favorites?
well, so like country stuff, like I think my first stuff, there's this band called the Gourds, which is from Austin. They're like an Austin, Texas band. Um, they're really great. I'm a big Willie Nelson guy, another Texas dude. Um, I like a lot of just like the Cloud Town Van Zant, fucking Blaze Foley. Modern dudes, I want to give a shout out. There's this guy that's making stuff right now. His name is Dan Spencer. He was one of the records that was on that thing that you mentioned, King, the Twitter, the 4 albums. Dan Spencer is a guy, right? He's an interesting dude. It's definitely country, but like his newest record is pretty strange, because it's like, it's almost got like some like metal shit going on too. So like this like cool fusion of like heavy rock metal shit with like this very beautiful country is a really cool trajectory. But he's one of my favorite guys right now doing it, and he's done well. I would still say he's pretty like underground, but he's great. And
Yeah, I might have to check him out. There's like one other guy that I listen to that does country with kind of the metal. I don't know if you've ever heard of Bill Murray.
not the actor, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bilmuri.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not.
Okay, yeah, he kind of does like country, but with like it's a bit poppier. I'm
Okay,
guessing
cool.
like Dan Spencer does like a darker kind of metal with the country because he has the pentagrams and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Dan Spencer kind of, I would say he's kind of almost got like an emo streak to him a little bit too.
Okay, I'll have to check this out.
Yeah, it's very good. If you were gonna listen to like something like Immaterial is like one of my favorite songs ever, and that's off of the new record. And I mean that's like a country song in my opinion. But like, you should listen to the first song on the record too. It's nuts. And then I mean I'm into like some of like the super mega popular country guys right now. I don't know if this would end up being considered like guilty pleasure music because it's like maybe it's embarrassing to like it. I don't actually know. I'm not in tune with that kind of stuff. But like Zach Bryan, I love Zach Bryan. Fucking mega popular, ridiculous, you know. Um, but like I like simple shit a lot, and that's something that I really love about country music is that like it really is important mainly just to hone in on the energy and like the emotion of it all. And
Yeah,
if you are good at writing hooks, like you know, you've got a lot going already.
it seems like the zeitgeist of the time, like Beyonce's doing country. There's the guy
Oof,
that I
yeah,
always hear about, Morgan Wallen. I don't really listen to his stuff, but I know it's out there, stuff like that.
yeah,
Lana's got
exactly.
Lana Del Rey's announced a few times that she's got a country album coming out.
Which that to me makes perfect sense. I mean, I love Lana,
Same.
Yeah.
and
Young Gravy
she's
just did one too.
dude, fucking. I mean, like, what was it like? I mean, Summertime Sadness, like all the hits, right? Like Summertime Sadness, Young and Beautiful. I mean, that shit's crazy, dude. She's great.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I love. I mean, I don't know if she's put out a bad song. I love all her shit. I love all her demos and all of her records too. She's phenomenal.
And she's great. She's not like a fucking like tard. You know what I mean? She's not like a libtard. She's like pretty cool. She's chill.
No, she's pretty based actually.
Yeah.
She likes she's got like a thing for big scruffy, you know, just like the most backwoods American looking guys. Like,
Yeah, dude, she's like
you
married to
know.
like a fucking like crocodile like wrangler or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
he like
very like
he gives like
working
swamp
class.
tours.
Yeah, dude. See, it's badass. That's fucking sick. But no, I love the country stuff. Like I love the idea of to me it just feels very like close to my heart, I think. And like I didn't really know I had a knack for it until I just started fucking around and like writing songs and I was like, no, this is like this makes like perfect sense. And I really want to explore it. I need to figure out a way to like I want to start making this new record and just like production wise, instrumentally, like arrangements, see where it kind of goes. But I think there's a lot of like fun territory
Well,
to explore there.
I think it's kind of the zeitgeist of the time in a weird way where I feel like because, like conservatism is kind of coming back, like the energy's just not there for like other genres. Like I kind of feel like rap is dying and
Oh,
we're
dude, 100%.
like rock and like country, they're kind of back on the upswing, and it just may be like a sign of the times kind of thing.
No, I 100% agree with that. And I mean, rap has been so dominant for so long, and we're coming to a point where the guys who like were at the top of the game when it was the dominant art form is sort of like because first off, I mean, I don't know how truly relevant rap has been even over the past like decade or so. Like, because a lot of the
Hmm.
new guys, I'm not like huge on it. I think the last like young guy that I like really fuck with still is like Peep. I mean, he's been dead for years,
Yeah.
R.I.P. But like, I fuck with Peep. I liked a lot of the SoundCloud stuff. I mean, I go Kanye, Lil Wayne, 50 Cent. But I mean, these are guys that were huge when I was like in fucking preschool. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And they're all getting older now. And like, I just, yeah, I mean, I think you're right, King. I think the shit is shifting, and I think that it's exciting though. It's exciting to
Yeah.
see like this new direction because, and I mean, in my experience, a lot of like DIY art scenes, as far as music is concerned, kind of suck because they're sort of dominated by like a very specific ideology. There's a very specific energy to a lot of these kinds of people. A lot of it just kind of ends up falling in the category of like indie rock, which again is
Yeah.
sort of like something that's been big for too long. And like, in my opinion, Alex G was going to be the last like genuine, like interesting indie artist. And even he is good at like getting out of that. He has country shit. He has like industrial shit. So
Mhm.
like,
I feel like that was kind of a thing. Like I remember back in the 2000s, like there was like indie was like you had flannel shirts and like beanies. And it feels like making indie rock, and I feel like that shit has just like died off. Like I can't remember
well,
the last
and it's
time.
and I mean, again, I think a big part of the problem is because it's like the people who dominate these like kinds of like scenes are so out of touch with like what people actually feel nowadays, and like
Yeah.
they're just making shit for like a very specific group of people, and I just feel like that group of people is sort of becoming less and less like popular with like the general public in America at this point. I really do think there is
Yeah,
I agree. I think there's a no,
nobody
dude.
likes
It's
the
like in like
vegan people. Nobody likes them. They fucking suck.
well, yeah. I mean, because a lot of them are like genuinely sort of dogmatic and like negative people. Like it's like I'm not particularly bitter towards people who have like different views than me. I think that's fine. I think it's
Yeah,
like it's the way the world functions. People are not you're not going to agree with everybody on everything. But like if I can't be myself around you, and you're gonna like try to make me out to be like an evil human being for having different like that's never gonna fly with like regular people. Like I'm trying to like live my life.
yeah. I mean, like, no
I
hate
can't
against
lie.
vegans. There's like the one UFC fighter, Jake Shields. He's vegan. He's
dude
cool.
dude, my ex-girlfriend was a vegan. You know how hard it is to like just go to restaurants.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I know.
It's like you go to Taco Bell and I'm like, yeah, can I get this and can you just take everything off of it? It's just and then they fuck it up and then she like can't eat for the rest of the day. It's like, all right.
It's rough, but yeah, it is the dogmatism of it all that really just sucks. Like, people can have different beliefs, stuff like that. It's cool for sure.
But
Yeah,
it's
we
been
won. We
it's been
won.
10
We're
years
fine.
of
Reverse.
relentlessness.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I can think about of rap is it's kind of like the guys who are putting like EDM into stuff. Like I don't know if you've heard of Two Hollis. I'm like
Oh
super
yeah,
into
for
him.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, his stuff is super sick, dude.
Yeah, the guy that I'm working with on the next magazine that I'm going to be in, he's like a huge Two Hollis fan. He put me on to Two Hollis. And yeah, that I mean that direction feels. I mean, like Blade feels sort of like a precursor to a lot
Yeah,
of this kind of stuff that's happening now. Blade's been around for a minute, and he feels very sort of instrumental to me in this kind of direction for this kind of music, like a lot of like video game sampling and kind of like hyper pop EDM kind of stuff with like this very ethereal aesthetic. It's cool. It's a very cool thing. I could never do. I'm like the opposite of that as like a human being. I end up I make what I make, and but
yeah,
I like it, and I think at this point anything that ventures away from the status quo of like leftist centric indie rock or like fucking just sort of like lame ass like rap music that doesn't move like I hate like I'm not like a Kendrick guy. Like I think he's not been cool for like a very long time. um so like I'm happy to see anything that starts to diverge from that kind of stuff, I think.
yeah. I don't know if I was ever really a Kendrick. I remember liking "I" from like "To Pimp a Butterfly." That one had like a good groove, but yeah, I haven't really kept up with Kendrick since.
No, I feel like he stopped being. Again, he was like popping when I was like in high school, and I don't think I really cared about it ever since. Like I was maybe in my early 20s.
Yeah, because it was like I think about it, it kind of was like SJW music where he was just talking about
Totally,
you
and
know.
it's only gotten worse. It's like
Oh,
because
really?
now it's like he has bars about like how white comedians shouldn't make fun of black women. I'm like, all right, we've lost supply here,
Yeah,
guys. This is not hard at all. This is fucking really stupid.
You
yeah,
remember when he like there was that huge viral moment? It felt like it kind of to me it felt like a big cultural turning point because he up until this point there was kind of almost like an agreed sort of unspoken thing where if you go to a rap concert you're not going to harass the white people when they sing along and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
But Kendrick
Yeah.
literally has this viral moment where he
Hmm.
stops his entire concert, points out this one fat bitch, and
Yep.
makes her come on stage and humiliates her in front of
Yeah.
everybody
yeah,
and forces her to be like, "Oh, what'd you just say? Oh, did you
Yep.
just say the N word?"
Yeah.
Like
It's like,
he totally
did
ridiculed
you
her.
just sing the song that I brought you up to sing? What's wrong with you? And it's just
Yeah,
like,
that is the gayest shit, dude.
no, dude, it's crazy. And I mean, that's to me, that's like Kendrick sort of in a nutshell. And like, I don't know if you guys watched the Super Bowl, but like he did the halftime thing. And like,
yeah,
again,
that
it's
was
like,
great.
yeah, if we're like, okay, like, look, we're 2025. People have equality. Women have power. Black folks are doing very well. Like, we're fine, guys. And so, like, if like the big artists are doing goofy, you know, uh, SJW, like Black Power, like civil rights shit. It's like, yeah, we're living in like this very like fake and gay sort of like simulation where like people don't actually have real thoughts or opinions, because it's like there's a lot more interesting things to be talking. And then this is why Kanye is sort of an enduring figure, because at least Kanye's going off and doing shit that nobody would ever dream of doing, and like he's always been that way. I think that's like, I don't give a fuck what you think about him, or if you think he's a bad person or whatever it is. Like, you're gonna look back, if you're an objective human being, you're gonna look back at like the rappers who were like actually like transcendent artists. Like Kanye's gonna be at the top of like the mainstream. Period.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you were talking about, I was thinking about like, yeah, isn't like Taylor Swift the biggest artist in the world? Like, it's not.
And she's one of them.
Yeah, like I don't see how females aren't at like the top of the game. Except
No, they're fine. They're fucking killing it, dude. They're running shit. They got like fucking, they're like, every boss I've ever had's like been a chick. Like they run like all the managerial stuff. They have like the Kush like fake email jobs for like Google and shit. Like they're great. They're fine.
Dude,
in terms of like, material financial stuff anyway. They're kind of like losing their shit too.
Personal rant, but whenever I see those, like, here's my day job at Google, and it's just like this girl going to eat like freaking trauma, and then like, oh, I stopped in my Zoom meeting at 2 a.m. I'm like, fuck, I wish my shit was this easy, bro. Like,
no doubt, dude. Yeah, man. I mean, I just posted this great thing on Instagram. It was like Camille Paglia, and she was talking about how like she always wanted to be like she's a very independent woman. She's a free woman, and then she like her car breaks down, and like all the men start doing all the things to like get her shit fixed, and she's realizing that a lot of her freedom as a female is dependent on male labor. And I'm like, thank you for just acknowledging the obvious. Like, it's it's like, fine, man, it's cool. Like, if that's what you want to do with your life, like, do that, but like don't pretend that like the fucking people delivering your food and digging your ditches and building your homes aren't like men. That's all.
The lack of
her genuine admiration for men at work is really refreshing to hear, and I think everyone could take a note out of that.
No, she's a great fucking person, great mind. She's beautiful. King, we were talking about this earlier, talking about artists who like the idea of like an artist not being able to be religious or something could be like sort of a hard thing to wrap your head around. And I agree with that, because a lot of people that I know kind of have like this general sense of like a spiritualness or like a god, like a religiousness. But she's a self-proclaimed atheist. I think she's one of the most important minds of however long at this point. She's really great. So like that's an interesting thing, because she has this ability to like look at religion and look at the importance of like God and all this stuff, but she herself doesn't consider herself a believer. So it's like this, I just love people you can't put into like boxes, and she's just so smart and refreshing that I'm like, okay, well, word. And she's clearly not like a Neil deGrasse Tyson atheist, like just a fucking like a retard. But
she like loves the 10 Commandments and shit. Like,
well, she thinks that the Bible is like the greatest work of fiction of all time, and I mean, I think that's like a fun way to look at that. You know what I mean? So like, whatever.
No, yeah, definitely. Like, I guess it's not like you can't, but like, I guess like the parallels to me when making art feel so strong that it feels like you couldn't overlook. But like, definitely there's tons of people who like can believe whatever they want, and like even what like Ye believes he's like a black Israelite or something. It's like, yeah, man, sure,
right? Like Louis Farrakhan, like like white people are just destined to go to hell. But again, Kanye doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about, because he's like, oh, I'm Louis Farrakhan, and then 10 years later he's like, okay, I'm like Hitler's biggest fan, which is the opposite. So like, I don't know. People are artists and like creative people. I think the most important thing to like pay attention to is just like the quality of their work and their authenticity. And I think everything else just needs to be taken with a grain of salt. We don't all need to be on the same page in terms of our like opinions. Truly, I don't really think.
Dude, like, this is something I not talk about all the time, but like, I totally agree, man. Like, I'm right wing. Like, I don't know if you listen to this shit. I listen to like Kim Petras all the damn time, bro. Like, do you know who that is?
No, I've not heard of that.
Oh, well, I guess you listen to Ethel Cain, right? So it's just a bunch of tranny core stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, this is I had a little thing on Twitter where it was like a fucking Ethel Cain fan account, and like one of the posts was like, how are you going to be MAGA and listen to Ethel Cain? And I like quote tweeted it, and I was like, it's almost like conservatives are capable of like nuance. Like, I'm like, I can understand that this person like probably thinks that I'm like a horrible human being, but like if resonates with me on any level, like I'm going to enjoy it because I don't get caught up on like the ideas of and I'm not even a huge Ethel Cain fan. I fuck with the aesthetic, and I think that's like it just doesn't need to like if you need everything to line up with your worldview, like you truly have a narrow-minded sort of approach to things. Like you're not going to be able to enjoy things nearly as much. Like I'm able to read things that are considered controversial or maybe different from the way that I look at things, but I can still get shit out of it because it's like you just have to be able to be capable of nuance. That's all it is. You don't have to like walk in lockstep with every human being that ever lived. And if they don't do that, they're like bad people. It's a very childish like view of the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, dude. And it's just like, at least for me, it's kind of like a in joke for me that like all of my favorite bands hate me, but
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah.
but it's like it's so weird because like yeah, it's just on our side. I feel like there's good bands here and there, like Negatives P or Yancey stuff like that. But like a lot of the times, I just feel like our quality bar is so low, and half the time is because people don't want to branch out and like see things from like stuff that's mainstream or something. Yeah, it's just I talk to like normal conservatives and they're like, yeah, he's crazy, and I'm like, but his beats are so good, like why it's just and I kind of stopped talking to those people after a while, but yeah, it's just hard.
Well, yeah. On the flip side, I mean, conservatards are just as frustrating as like the other people because it's like,
Yeah,
there's people out there that's like they think like people with like tattoos are like scum or like poor people are like really bad or like anybody that hasn't even remotely like sort of like different sort of a like viewpoint from like this general like old school almost conservative like pipeline of like thinking. It's like like I don't know if you guys know Matt Walsh.
Yeah.
yeah. I hate Matt
Just
Walsh. He's
like
okay.
no, Matt Walsh fucking sucks, dude. And it's just like he's living in this like weird fantasy land where it's like I have like a lot of gay friends. I have like trans friends. It's like I don't really give like again, I don't give a fuck. I
Yeah,
think it's mostly to me, it's just about like, are you capable of not being a total fucking like robotic moron? And if you are capable of doing that, we're fine. Like, but like Matt Walsh's like view of the world is so rigid and dogmatic. He's really no better than the people he's trying to oppose. And I think he's a bit of a hateful like simpleton.
well, yeah, and I think you can see it in like the quality of the Daily Wire. Like just none
Oh,
of none
dude.
of none of their stuff none of their stuff looks aesthetically pleasing or like cool. I don't know how else to say it. It's
I
Yeah,
just
mean,
it's all flat.
MDE is like a great example of like sort of more like MAGA driven conservative like energy, but like you see the fucking dudes like Sam has rolling with him, like people like
yeah,
Jet and like Crit, like those dudes are all like they're like us, you know what I mean? And like um
dude,
there's
yeah,
a very like interesting like transgressive aesthetic going on with MDE, especially like I mean the first World Peace season is like gorgeous. It's like a beautiful,
Yeah,
it's hilarious. I
it's
love it.
fucking stunning.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, it's so great, dude.
yeah. And I feel like that's like what's wrong with like the opposite side, where like the leftists, are obviously our right wing side has problems, but also the leftists they can't handle like MDE, and that's why comedy's dead because they just don't want to go where MDE goes, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're total. I mean, humor has been zapped
Yeah,
out of a lot of those people. Like the fact that you can't even make like a tranny joke or anything like that because it's viewed as like a hate crime is like, okay, guys, like you're gonna need to like reevaluate exactly what kind of world it is you're trying to live in because this is unrealistic by like anybody's standards who's not a total freak.
Right. And these dogmas end up just like eating each other because no one can possibly live up to their constantly evolving standards.
yeah,
No, because if we did, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's a good thing that like we're going in the direction that we're going in now because the last 4 years felt really scary just in terms of the way like things were going. Both on a very like basic economic quality of life sense, but like just the culture and like the energy of people. I mean, COVID really wrecked
yeah.
society and we didn't fully come. I think we're kind of coming back, but like we, haven't fully repaired. And I'm very, very grateful for the direction things are going now. Even if you can pick little things that maybe people think are like uncomfortable or negative, I would say yes, on the whole, we're lucky, you know.
Yeah, you can feel it in the air, a sort of a tide shift. I'm seeing like trailers for movies and shows that are now trying to capitalize on an Americana aesthetic. So it definitely feels like the culture is finally listening to the people that actually fucking matter.
Yeah, man. And it's like, we fucking people are gonna need to like in their own way, people are going to need to come together in some sense. I'm not saying that like libs are ever going to do this. I don't necessarily think we need to come together with them. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I'm just saying the people that get it are going to need to like stand a little stronger and
Yeah.
push in this sort of direction.
Yeah, for sure. Like, definitely like the things like MDE or even things like you or like Jesse are doing, where yeah, it's like I guess you could say it's right wing, but it like it's a bit more nuanced than that, and being
I
willing
think
to like go everywhere.
freedom. I think freedom is the important thing, and I think that's what we
Yeah,
lost under like the last like sort of 4 years of like this like kind of weird dogmatic shit, some things that like leftists do and like conservators do. It's like there needs to be an emphasis on freedom, allowing people to like live and explore and do things the way that they want to and not get so caught up on like politics and stuff. I think it was like one of the Red Scare chicks said this. It was just like this when young people are like more focused on politics than like like fucking and like having fun, like you have a very like bad problem. And that's how I feel a lot about like younger people. It's like, guys, have like fun. Like you're gonna be young once. I don't think you need to be like hyper focused on like Palestine from like 18 to 25 and then all of a sudden you're just like an adult.
bro, dude, that shit's crazy. How the fuck do you just make your life identity Palestine, bro? That's just wild.
Dude,
Yeah, man.
it's
It's
just
like
being programmed to immediately make that your identity the night that it gets instituted.
it's
Like
fucking
Yeah,
it's like I was living in Detroit with a couple of lefties, and it was crazy to see how literally overnight like a new idea would be introduced to their culture, and they would immediately have to pick a side on it, or they'd be scrambling last minute to try and figure out the right take on it, so that they could then posture about it and ask me if I had heard about it.
it's crazy. It's so
Dude.
disconnected from like a general sense of like again like a basic instinct or like source. It's like you're so mind driven and like you said like people are scrambling to get like the right the quote unquote right information. It's like, dude, why don't you just I don't know, man, just fucking don't you don't have to focus on it. Like you're not a bad person for just living your life. Like no one this isn't your fault. You know what I mean? Like just do your thing.
But
You
they've all
can't
been guilt tripped into thinking that silence is violence and that
exactly.
they have to do something or else they're part of the problem.
Exactly. And it's like, yeah, the identity politics and the virtue signaling has gotten so crazy.
this actually ties into something. This is something I was thinking about. And I was talking with Jesse a little bit. In terms of, I feel like for a long time, like art, I feel like you were saying like we need to have freedom, and I think that's a good point. But also, I think the next point is like reality. I feel like a lot of artists they see themselves as like magicians or like magic, things. And that was something that I was watching. I don't know if you've heard of Alan Moore, but he writes comic books stuff like that, and he's like a magician or whatever. And the idea is that you've probably heard this. Like words are like spells, and spells change consciousness. And I think
Sure.
that's how leftists like frame the way they view art. And it's like if we change the consciousness, it's like magic would change the world. And
Hmm.
therefore, that's why all their music is like SJW or art is SJW, right? They're trying to change consciousness, trying to change world, be magical. But I feel like now there needs to be like I guess in terms of the right wing necessarily it's like reality is setting in. You can't just say that a dude is a chick and then that person is a chick, right? Like it's you're changing perception, but perception isn't reality. And I think if your
Right.
art is closer to reality, that's where things start kicking in, right? I think that's also what like conservatives do. Is they have this rule set from the Bible, and they're like, yeah, we should all follow these things 90 million, even though nobody can fucking do all that shit. And that's where people, fall off the ends where like nobody can keep up these impossible standards and stuff like that. I think just being realistic, having reality in your art is like kind of the next grounding thing that I think is gonna move art forward.
Yeah, 100%. And being able to make
Mhm.
things that are transcendent and reach people on a deep emotional level is the most important thing to actually sway people in any kind of direction, because that's the most important thing is you want to be moved. A big beef that I just have a lot with like live music nowadays and like and just like a lot of stuff in general is that I don't ever feel moved by it. Like I can't tell you all the times that I've gone to a show where the music is like mid, and then in between every song, I shit you not, they talk about like trans rights or they talk about Palestine, and it's like this is not the way to get to people. Like you need to do what you're good at and like make people transcend with the music, because that brings people together. And so if your goal here is to like make the world like a better, more functional place, like do it that way. But like you're only turning people off every time you have to like shove a fucking opinion down someone's throat, especially when half of the country doesn't even care about that shit. You
Nobody
know,
cares. Yeah.
Yeah,
nobody gives a
man.
fuck.
I think I was telling you. I told you guys I went to that Fontaine DC concert.
Yeah.
Uh, and you know it was amazing. I love those fucking guys. And it's like oh man, I was in the zone, dude. I was really in the zone. Whatever they were conjuring, I was in it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know,
Yeah.
we've been here for like an hour and a half. We're like cruising. All of a sudden, he ends a song, right? And then he sprints up to the microphone and screams, "Free Palestine!"
Yep.
Oh my
And the
goodness.
whole audience fucking cheers, except for
Yeah.
me, because now I'm like this lone guy who's like, "Oh, I was enjoying this." Like,
Exactly.
I
And that's
was
the
in.
thing. It's like you were entranced, right? Like you were, like you said, you were in this like weird sort of like religious state of bliss because of the
Mhm.
music. And then all of a sudden they snap you out of it themselves because they have to virtue signal, because that's such a huge important part of like the ecosystem of like the art world in a lot of ways. It's like you have to bring attention to these things that matter. And I'm just like, that has never, in my opinion, been like the thing that did it. Like the only fucking work of art I can think of that's even remotely political in any sense that's like transcendent is like The Wall, like Pink Floyd.
Mhm.
And you know what I mean? And it's like, and again, but still that's like has so many more layers to it. So it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. It just
Have
feels
you
off.
have you seen the show Dave at all?
Um no, I don't think so. I feel like I've heard of that.
It's about Lil Dicky. It's like a fictional version of
Okay, so I've
rock.
heard of that, yeah.
So there's a really great scene in that where he goes to meet Rick Rubin and like goes into like a flotation tank and like all this shit like goes in his own brain, and he meets like his own ego, who basically has to tell him, what, like, basically, like, what does any of this shit have to do with making good art, like caring about how good of a person you are, or like this, if you're supporting this cause or using your platform to say this and this, like
Hmm.
literally none of that fucking matters whatsoever. What does that have to do at all with what you're creating? It's like it's just this complete obstacle that you're putting in your own way.
Yeah, 100%. The we live in such an annoying time because of that kind of stuff. I just feel like it ironically it creates more barriers than it destroys. So it's almost like doing the opposite of what it's supposedly intended to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, no,
And it ruins things.
I totally agree in the sense that, again, like, I feel like, at least to me, artists are, while you can work at it, it's about 90% talent, 10% hard work. And not that you shouldn't work hard, but you know. And I feel like right wingers, they keep thinking that we can just, if we just have one more technique, it'll work out. But I feel like a lot of times, like, there's a set number of talented people on the planet. And whenever I see somebody who's like talented that's not on our side, I'm like, fuck, where did we mess up? Like, you know, and
Right.
just there's people from all spectrums that are like super talented and stuff like that. It's all about talent, really. It's not about morals. You know, there's
No.
tons of great people that, not great people, there's tons of horrible people that make great fucking art. I can't really think of any right now, but you know, they're out there. We all know.
Yeah.
We all, you know, so
But we need to embrace aesthetics more so that we can
yeah.
have something better to offer you know, like instead of just looking like some, you know, like you know, some bad religious movie of the week or something, that we actually have like you know, a fucking like a whole depth of you know, of cosmetics, you know, behind artists and stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not good art is, I don't think, ever really been attached to like morality. Like human beings are fucking human beings. Nobody's like perfect. So like you're saying with the talent thing, it's like, yeah, man, if you're talented, you're talented. You've got the thing. And that's the most important part. And then from there, you know, just do your thing. Try not to get too caught up on, you know, pleasing people or virtue signaling. I mean, that's a big thing for me going forward. I never ever want to talk about what I think is right or what I think is like wrong. You know what I mean? Like just put it into a song, put your energy there, and like fuck off, because like you're
Right,
not that
that'll speak for
important.
itself.
Yeah, man, it doesn't matter. Like who gives a shit? So like, yeah, virtue signaling. It's very evil. It's a very evil, strange thing.
Yeah.
I have a question. Just you know, completely random, but what's your favorite album of the year so far for 2025? I know it's early; it's only May, but like any.
Oof. Man, I'm trying to think of like what I've been listening to that even has come out in 2025. Um,
We could pull it back to 2024 because that's a bit more recent, you know.
Is that
yeah,
Sleep Token album 2025?
Yeah,
yeah, that new one.
they just released it.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, trying to think of like what has like really moved me in the last year. I mean, look, 2024, I love that Dan Spencer record. It's the thing that comes to mind. I like it too because it's not super like huge, and I think that's like a nice rarity, because even though underground is supposed to be like where all the fucking like magic is, I feel like music is just struggling in a lot of ways.
Really?
And like
Okay.
yeah, it just feels like, oh, it almost feels like a miracle sometimes when I find something that I genuinely connect to, that's like brand new, that isn't mainstream sometimes. I admittedly I've not gotten into that new Sleep Token record yet. I will say they have hit a tipping point, because I never heard a damn thing about Sleep Token before this record came out, in terms of like what I hear from outsiders. And now all I hear is negativity. It's amazing. I saw fucking Fantano put out a 2.3 score on this new Sleep Token record.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up Fantano.
Yeah, dude. First off, I fucking, very few people I have. I have like there's like three people that I can think of that are like mainstream people that I think are like satanic and like not good people, and that is fucking Anthony Fantano, uh,
Let's
Pedro
fucking go.
Pedro Pascal. I hate that dude, and fucking Hassan Piker.
Yeah,
Those three
yeah.
people, all three of those people seem to me just like they were sent here to do like very evil, dubious things. Anyway, I hadn't respected Fantano really ever. But like that again is just like such a great example of like, I'm just like, all right, fuck this guy. And then Pitchfork also dunked on that record. So anyway, I think they just hit this tipping point where, you know, this new record is like their first charting UK record, at number one, and it's huge. It's like blowing up. Everybody's listening to it. It's a lot of love, but with that comes all of this like critical shit from like mainstream people. And I guess the beef with it is that people are saying it's like being lauded as like this new metal stuff, but in reality it's not actually metal music. You know, when Kelby and I talked about it, I think Kelby said it well. He thinks Sleep Token is like a new metal band, whereas like you take all of these different kinds of influences and put it into something new. And in my opinion, that's more of what Sleep Token is. I never wanted to write Sleep Token off as like a heavy band, just because if you actually listen to the records, there's a lot of shit going on. And I mean, I even told Kelby on our episode, I was like, you know, I think they're just like a pop band in a way. So anyway,
Yeah, I think
I
I agree.
think people are just getting shit. I think they're just getting shit on because of the like a branding issue, and people like to just hate on that kind of stuff. But I mean, Fantano is like such a biased, like wormy, like fucking person that like I can't take anything he says seriously. It's like the same thing with Hassan.
Yeah.
It's like anything that comes out of his mouth is just like this like evil witchcraft.
it's so funny because like like a lot of the stuff I listen to is like kind of like screamo emo stuff, like Bring Me the
Nice.
Horizon stuff like that. And Fantano always gives it like low scores, but then like there'll
Yeah.
be some like stupid ass like rap album. He's like, this is like an 8 out of 10
Yeah.
or some shit.
What's he say? Like sexy. He gave like Sexy Red's like record like a fucking 8, and like he's always
Okay,
giving like Olivia Rodrigo, like all the it
yeah,
has this like liberal leftist like flavor to it, where it's like
Mhm.
people try to convince you that he's like this unbiased, objective like music reviewer, and I'm just like, no, it's the same thing as like Hassan Piker. It's like there's a flavor to it. There's an audience he's pandering to. At some point, the vibe shifted, and he knows exactly who to cater to, and that's all this is. And like, it's not really about music. I can't really remember the last time he even went and because when he first started, I mean, he was reviewing like genuinely like independent bands, and I mean, he put some people that were good like on the map, which is like kind of what you're supposed to do when you're in that position. That no longer really happens, and like Vultures dropped. I remember when Kanye came out, like he
yeah,
fucking eviscerated that record, and we all know why he did it. It had nothing to do with
yeah,
the music.
Mhm.
Nothing to do with it. It's because it was Kanye, and because Kanye passed the fucking line, and he felt like it was his duty to like make sure that he said what like the everybody knows is like the right opinion, even though Vultures was objectively Kanye's like best record to come out in like years.
yeah. It's interesting too because like yeah, I'm not a fan of Olivia Rodrigo. She's kind of basic to me, but it's kind of funny. But
Sure.
um, I am a fan of Sexy Red. She's not like my favorite artist at all, but like it's dumb fun.
But
Like
you fuck
okay,
with it.
yeah,
Well,
it's
like
just
she
yeah,
has a verse on Sticky, which is that new Tyler the Creator song.
okay,
Mhm.
Um that shit goes hard. So like whatever. It is what it is. I just think it's just with
yeah,
me, Fantano is just like sort of obvious. But like
yeah.
I'm
You're
also not like a
100%
hater
right
of
on. You're 100% right on Fantano's like opinions. He's a liberal.
He's a faggot.
yeah, he's a fag. He sucks. And I mean like fucking but like I like a lot of this like I don't know what is it like Lord. I fuck with
Yeah,
Lord.
Lord's
Yeah.
awesome. I heard the latest single was
Mhm.
dope.
Yeah.
She's got a lot of great shit. I'm not even a particular. I thought the Brat stuff was like this weird psyop, and I lost some respect for her because of that. But like I like Charlie XCX on the whole. I
Oh,
don't think
okay.
she's very bad. But
Yeah, she just dropped a new music video, and it's it got my girlfriend all like riled up and shit. But it was like very obvious. But I was like, honestly, this is pretty damn catchy. This is
it's
it's pretty
fine, right?
solid.
Like I don't drive around listening to most of this stuff because again, it's just not what speaks to my soul. I mean, really,
Mhm.
I've almost become like I'm like becoming like an old man or something. Like I've been listening to like I just listen to very specific shit, and like I mean I swear to God, the last like 2 or 3 months I've only been listening to just like country music. But so I'm like really out of the loop a lot of the
Yeah, I
times.
think
But
I think that might be the divide because between me and you because you said music was bad. I think it's really good. Like I really fuck with the Charlie XCX2 Hollis stuff, but that just might like be my
no,
personality.
no. I mean, again, I don't hate a lot of this stuff.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it is I have a very, very like tunnel vision when it comes to shit that I like. I just like what I like. I get very into it
Mm.
specifically.
yeah.
Um, on rap, really quick, there's this rapper around right now from Houston. He's called that Mexican OT. I don't know if you guys have heard of him.
I've heard of him
Um,
before. Yeah, I think
that
so.
shit's hard. That shit's awesome. And he's like a new guy. He's pretty. I guess he's probably made it at this point because I think he just had a thing with like Lil Wayne come out. So I guess he's like at the level now. But like that shit's pretty great. Yeah, I wish I had a more clear cut answer for like the best like album so far of 2020. But like I don't even know if I've listened to a record that's like dropped this year all the way through. Again, because I'm just I just get this tunnel vision. Like someone
Yeah,
has to bring something to me and be like, check this out, and I'll be like, okay, I'll like listen to it, and then if it's good, I'll be like, okay, word.
yeah. No, the probably my favorite album of the year so far is Under Oath's The Place After This One. I like Ye's Cuck, but it's just probably Under Oath's like what I usually listen to more so, at least production wise.
Nice. Yeah. What is it? What is it? What's the band called?
Under Oath, The Place After This One. It's
Okay.
uh, it's just a it's screamo horror shit, but they've kind of
Okay.
updated
Word.
it. It's a bit dancier for this one, so I thought it was like really good. Probably,
I'm super into the like emo stuff.
yeah.
Um, I'm gonna check my like playlist really quick here just to see like what's been on it. But I've been known to enjoy a lot of like older screamo stuff. I'm a big new metal guy too, man. I mean, I fuck with like Korn and what the fuck is that band? They all wear masks. I can't believe that's slipping me right
Slipknot.
now. Slipknot. Yeah. That kind of stuff. But see, like for instance, like all my like recently added stuff is like ridiculous. It's like I've got fucking Leonard Skinner. I have a Maroon 5 song
Hey.
on here, which is insane.
Nice.
Black Sabbath, Sturgill Simpson, Motorhead. Oh, dude. Okay, here's a great record that just came out. Viagra Boys. Have you heard of Viagra Boys?
Okay, I haven't heard of this.
Sounds
Sounds interesting
familiar.
to check out.
Okay, that I think this is a very new record. That one's worth checking out. If you guys are into it. It's very strange, kind of heavy-ish, almost dancey. That one you guys might fuck with. That's a 2025 record. So I'm not gonna say it's my favorite record or anything, but like that's a new one that I would consider checking out.
What about you, Jesse? Is there any album that you listened to so far this year? Or
I kind of blank. Literally the only album that I can think of besides Donda 2 is the new Pink Pantheress album. I
oh
actually really
yeah,
like. I keep listening to that in the car. Um, Zach Langley Chi made this really great tweet just talking about how energetic it makes you feel, and yeah, I 100% agree with that. There's just something really just like energetic and fluffy and pink about it that just makes me feel good, and yeah, I kind of like it. I can't really think of anything else that's really like I sat from beginning to end and listened to it all the way through, but I'll probably
yeah.
think of something later.
It's still early in the year, and I honestly like. I don't think I've listened to that many albums this year at the beginning. I was just thinking about it, and I've listened to a lot of singles. There's some singles here or there, but like not an actual album that's kind of released. Besides,
Yeah, a lot of good
and
singles.
Yay
Oh,
is like Cuck hasn't been released that, so like, can I really count that if it?
the Joe album, the
Oh
main
yeah,
character from Spree, his album came out this year. That was pretty good. But yeah, other than that, I can't really think of anything.
right. But
Yeah, no, it's very. Again, I have very like heavy tunnel vision. Um, with shit. I found this country artist recently because of a beef that he was having with the other guy that I mentioned that I actually like, Zach Bryan. But they had this weird beef because Zach got paid like an arm and a fucking leg, like crazy money for this shit. And then like this other dude beefed on him. And then Zach took him off the record. And then I went and listened to his music because of that. And I was like, oh, this is very fire. This is very good.
nice.
Are you a fan of Brockhampton at all?
I was at one point. I listened to a lot of Brockhampton when I was a little bit younger. My ex girlfriend was good about. She got me into like a lot of like. She's the reason I know about like Young Lean, Blade, Brockhampton, fucking like. Those are the big ones. I'm a big Young Lean guy. The I'm trying to think of like some songs by them. There's I don't listen to them much anymore, but there's a couple I think that have like sort of stuck for me.
Yeah, I was showing King the Saturation trilogy. At least
Yeah.
That was
those
probably
first
their
couple
best stuff.
albums. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
was that one song Gold or something like that? Or like
I think
Chain
so.
or like Keep a Gold Chain on my neck. Flies
Yeah,
that song.
yeah.
That one's fire. I like that shit.
Yeah, dude. They have some really like yeah, just like candy fucking hooks in those albums.
Do you guys fuck with Young Lean?
Yeah.
I haven't heard any Young Lean stuff.
Okay,
What's that
word. Yeah.
genre called? That sad boy emo rap sorta? It's a there's like a word for it, like
I
a
think
term.
isn't it like SoundCloud rapper? That was about it.
I thought there was man, like XXX got kind of grouped into that.
Yeah, I know you're. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I always thought it was just like emo rap, but there's
Yeah,
probably a specific term for it. That
yeah. I'm thinking of a specific term, but
Oh, is it
you know
mumble
what
rap?
I'm talking about.
yeah,
No. Ah, fuck. It's gonna drive me crazy, but when I figure it out, I will message the group chat.
yeah. It was, but like, yeah, all those dudes, right? Like, because that was that generation. There was some good stuff that came out of there. I think like Peep, Young
Yeah.
Lean, Blade. all that kind of shit. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I wanted to ask if you're kind of familiar with King Gizzard at all.
Again, yeah. So I know about them. I've heard probably a couple songs by them, but never anything that I got into too deeply.
Okay, because they are also one of these bands where album to album you have no idea what they're gonna put out. Like from one thing to the next, they never really repeat themselves, and it just kind of reminded me of your trajectory. That it's like I cannot predict where this is going. It's like you would, I wouldn't be surprised, but I would be if you were to just like drop an album out of the blue that sounded absolutely nothing like what you had done before.
Yeah, that seems like highly likely because I just feel like it's always like shifting. There's this. Have you guys heard of
Gizzard and
Nothing?
Wizard being like rock, right? Like, I guess it's
Yeah,
prog rock, from what I remember.
It's like they have like weird 80s synth sort of sounding albums. They have like sort of prog rock stuff. It's really kind of all over the place. You can tell they follow like some weird intuitions, and they're like, oh, we should do a song that makes it feel like you're like fucking sitting down by the river on the dock, and but maybe it's like robotic fish. It's like weird,
yeah. I always associated it with like stoner kind of rock. I don't know if that's accurate. I think it's just because the people that I
Yeah.
hung out with was like they liked this band called Sleep, and then I always heard Sleep get mentioned kind of in the same vein as like King Gizzard, even though I think they're probably relatively different forms of music.
Yeah, I think looking up like bands like Cuss or like Fu Manchu, stuff like that. I used to listen to a little bit stuff like that.
There's this band called Nothing that I really like.
I was wondering. Yeah, I was like, let me write that down. Nothing.
Yeah, literally called Nothing, and it's
Okay.
like I don't know. They get lumped into like shoegaze. I don't really think it's shoegaze. I feel like it's its own thing, and it's a little heavier than maybe a lot of shoegaze, but it's this very like heavy, sort of reverby, ethereal stuff, and it's very like emo in its own right. And it's they're great. I've liked them for a while.
Hell yeah, I will definitely look those guys up. How often are you like hearing something very specific in your head and then trying to translate that very specific thing, or as opposed to just like fucking around and then kind of following an intuition? Yeah, the difference between those, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of goes back and forth a lot of the times. I think what happens a lot is I will hear something in my head. So maybe it's a melody or maybe it's a sound, and then I'll do my best to recreate it. But then it turns into sort of like its own thing. I don't know if I've ever been a guy that's had like the entire song is like in my brain. And I went and recreated that. I do feel like that used to happen when I was younger, but I never was able to like do that. And now I feel like I just catch on to a melody and I just write shit built around it. Like one of the best songs that I've written recently, in my opinion, called Southern Blood, which I think was in those things that I sent you.
Yeah, it's a great one.
I it's one of my favorite ones, and I like see like I wrote that one. Just I feel like I build things through melody, but like that one I think was almost like I wrote the guitar lick and then I built the thing around the guitar lick. So like a lot of these more recent songs, it's been melody driven, and it's following, like you said. I think it's more recently following an intuition. I have had instances of I'll hear some shit in my head, and then I'll do my best to recreate it. Like apparently the guy from Skinnerd, like apparently he dreamed the fucking like the famous guitar lick for Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah, you hear that sometimes.
He dreamt that and like woke up and was like, all right, let's do it. And then he was like, they wrote it and he was like, it's in the wrong key. He's like, they're like, we'll just keep it in this key. And then it's like, they wrote Sweet Home Alabama. So like, I don't know if I've ever had an instance of like dreaming something, at least, not yet. Maybe it'll happen.
Are you usually pretty good at at being able to determine like, okay, that like you know exactly how to come to make the sound or replicate it, or do you struggle?
Sometimes it is very simple. I have found there are times where I'm hearing something in my head and I'm like, I have like no fucking idea like what I would even do, because it's like sometimes you're like, maybe I need to do it outside of the DAW, or like maybe I need to like fuck with like electronic instruments inside of it and then like do effects on it. So again, kind of a 50-50 split. Sometimes I feel like it's very straightforward and super easy to replicate it. And when you do it, it feels great because you're like, that's exactly like what I was looking for. And then other times I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. There's like the Aphex Twin thing where there's like the marble song, and he literally like dropped the marble on a table and then let it bounce. And it kept, when things bounce, they go quicker and quicker and quicker. So he took that and then he like sampled that and then made a whole song out of like a marble bouncing.
Holy shit.
Which shit like that, which is like really crazy. I've not done anything quite like that experimental. I'm trying to think of the weirdest. I think the weirdest sounds that I usually am able to like create are usually from odd vocal things that I'll do. Like I'll sit in front of a mic and do some really weird like vocal shit, and then I'll sit around and like chop it up and throw effects on it and like pitch it and do these things. But
There's
yeah,
a murder of so sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's cool. Go ahead. I don't
I was just
really
gonna say
remember what I was gonna say.
I was just gonna say there's a murder of crows at the end of Vicious Circle.
Yeah. I forgot that's what they're called. It's literally called a murder, right?
Yeah.
That's fire.
And the whole song sounds like we're about to witness one.
Murder, yeah, dude. Yeah, the that last part was literally taken like, because again, like I said, like the executioner thing. But like that fucking dope, like that war horn at the end of the song, like that was literally like I took that from the idea anyway. I took from Silent Hill, because there's a beautiful part in the game where you're going down this extremely long staircase and there's just this ominous ass like war horn that keeps getting used, and I was like, I want to try to like use that. And so I put it at the end of the song because I thought it just had this nice ominous thing, and you throw the crows on there and it's like, yeah, it's kind of like this, it has like this imagery and this vibe of like again, something about to like go down. And it's very ominous. And that one was cool because like sampling that was really easy, because the way I used to sample things is I would put a microphone like up to a fucking speaker of like a TV, which is like a horrible way to sample things because the sound quality is so bad. But then my friend was like, you can just like look shit up and like do like a YouTube to MP3 and like do it that way. And I was like, oh shit, I'll start doing that. And I started doing it. It's like way cleaner. And so I literally looked up like warhorn sound on YouTube, and then I took that and then I ran it through the thing, got the MP3, put it into the DAW, and then like just sampled that. And I was like, oh yeah, this is like way nicer.
Fuck yeah.
The shit's ghetto, dude. I mean, Pain System was like so ghetto. It's crazy.
This way.
Well, Protector literally sounds like a Florida man in a hostage situation. Like the police are outside and he's got his sawed-off shotgun. He's screaming at him.
Yeah, that one was cool because it was like the idea was like it's called Protectors. I like the idea of like, yeah, like a home invasion essentially is the first part of the song, but then it has like that nice ethereal come down to it. Where it's like everything chills out a little bit. I feel like I've gotten good at the a lot of the Tavora stuff is good at like that sort of balance of very abrasive turning into like very easy and soft.
Yeah, it really strikes this right balance. It like you said, coming in and out of these cycles, and yeah, being in a pit of darkness, and then having this totally angelic moment of levity, and then immediately returning right back into that darkness again. It is very cinematic.
Yeah, and it's not, it's not party music. That's what I realized. I was like, this is not going to be like,
It's very
this is not what
Maybe
people.
just
opposite there,
Picker.
This is like it's scare the hose music. Is it's not something that you like put on when you're like vibing.
Which is a vibe, you know.
It still has its
Whoever
own
wants to
vibe.
scare the hose?
Yeah, no, it's great. And I mean, like, Angels is a little better about it, I guess. You could probably put that if you're like smoking weed with your friend or whatever. You could probably put on Angels and not be like scared. But I just feel like if you hit the fucking,
is that something you
you
think
hit
about,
it.
like who your audience is? A lot, or
No, I mean, at least not with like. No, not at all. Because like with Tavora, like I'm not concerned, I guess, about like making sure that people want to like put it on in their car or something like that. I
yeah,
understand like what it is. The new stuff I do hope is something people could like vibe out to, because I love music that you can just like listen to. Like I don't walk around all day listening to like fucking like experimental,
Soundscape.
yeah, like soundscape murder music. But so I understand that's not like a big thing for people. But yeah, I do want to be able to make records that like people can also just like literally just chill to. It's like you're making breakfast or something and you want to like listen to something nice.
Yeah, dude, an entire album of just like just sicker than we thought styled or stylized songs where it's just riding that same wave or whatever. It would be the ultimate chill out chill album. But
Yeah.
again, would kind of almost be slightly in conflict with the whole point of all the way these songs play out structurally and stuff.
Yeah, I mean it would be super tight. Like I love Sicker, and I think that's an idea of like closer to the mark of being able to like you can just kind of put that on and do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in the context, so you can pick out songs in that record and you can listen to stuff like that throughout the EPs and the record or whatever. But like, yeah, if you're listening to it as like a whole structure, it's just like it's its own like beast. It's very, I don't. People are like, "Oh, it's experimental," and I'm like, I get it's kind of experimental. I still feel like, in the terms of like what experimental music can be, it's still kind of poppy. But
Yeah, it's very
yeah.
listenable still. It's not like completely um oh god, lost the word, but I think you get what I'm trying to say.
yeah, because some shit is just like Jesus Christ. Like this is like
It's
it's
not
like
too confrontational.
right. Like there's still this element of like there's like chord structures in there that like are very like straightforward. And I mean, a lot of the songs are very simple, man. I mean, like Wasteland is like a 2 fucking chord song. Protect is probably like 2 chords. So it is still very like pop based, I think, in a lot of ways. There's just this abrasiveness to it that it gets a little experimental, and there is a lot of soundscaping going on, which is not something that I think a lot of people want to like just vibe out to.
No, but if you're in the mood to endure some kind of experience, or if you just want to sit there and like let images be conjured in your brain, then I think it's perfect for that. Because I can't listen to one of your songs without just like random seedy images just slowly coming out of the darkness in my mind's eye.
That's great. Yeah, it's like evocative and it has good imagery, and like you said, cinematic. I think there's a cinematic element to it for sure. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
If our side ever makes movies or stuff like that, like, dude, I think you'd be the one. Like a horror movie, stuff like that. It'd be sick.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
dude.
I would love to.
My girlfriend was like, because she wants me to make another movie, and she's just like, you got to get him to do the music. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, dude. Me and you, we got to team up. You do the music.
No, that would be super fucking cool.
Hell
Yeah, if you're ever doing like a movie thing, please let me
Oh,
know. That would be
I'm always thinking of the next thing because we're gonna do the promo for Soap Scum using Sicker, which will
yeah.
already build a great crossover, and
Ooh,
then
okay.
I'll probably start working on my next script this year or something. Try and figure out what we can do.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that'd be I have a buddy, I don't know if you've heard of you know Death Curse comics?
Yeah,
No, I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, you should you'd like Spence. He's a really cool dude. He does comic stuff. He does a lot of shit. He does movies, kind of like a horror thing. He's got a very like heavy, brutal kind of aesthetic. He does all of his own like makeup and effects and stuff like that. But you know, him and I are good friends, and we talked about this kind of stuff too. And like he floated the idea of using one of my songs from Pain System in one of the movies that he's working on, and then he's the guy that I'm like in talks with about doing music videos for like Tavora stuff. And I think we have a plan for at least 2 Tavora songs.
Off of which album?
He wanted to do Way on Me from Angels.
Oof.
And then he wanted to do Don't Sell Me off of Pain
Okay.
System. And yeah, so those are the 2, which is cool because like I never really saw Don't Sell Me being something that like people wanted to like go further with. So that was cool. But yeah, Death Curse is great, and he's very much in that kind of like wheelhouse of like he's a big film guy, but he does comic stuff too. I think he's adapting one of his comics to a movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh shit.
Oh, nice. Yeah, just send me his stuff. See what's up. It's always cool to see like other artists and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, because you do comic stuff, right, King? So
Yeah, well, I do like visual stuff. Yeah.
okay, word. Yeah, no, I feel like you guys would be in the same wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I will. I'll definitely send you. I can go find some of his because he's got some of his comics. He's got a lot of his stuff posted up online. So I'll go ahead and I'll send you some shit.
Drop it in the chat.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I ran out of questions, so I don't know if you have any more questions, Jesse.
Not really. I think that's about it for me. I mean, did you ever figure out if you were gonna drop those acoustic tracks just as like demos the way they are, or if you're gonna get into the studio and refine them?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do both. I think what I want to do is I want to go ahead and make the record the way that I kind of envision the record being, and then I'm going to go ahead and then I'll do a little thing of like all the demos too, just because the reception to the demos have been great. And I guess they have like their own kind of magic, because it's a good thing when people tell you like it's enough with just a guitar. That's good, and if the demos have their own like vibes to it, I don't want to like just write that off completely. So I think going through and doing the record in the studio the way that I would like to do them, having it done that way, and then dropping that, and then allowing the demos to come out and be their own thing, and that's also just good for more like material to have out there. I think I'll just go ahead and split it because there's no reason I can't do both, you know.
Yeah, the demos specific texture to them where you like hear the actual like plucking sounds and like the hitting of the guitar, and that would definitely, you know, you wouldn't want to lose that quality to it.
Yeah, and I think even with the record, honing in on like just like keeping it raw and not fucking, because like even when I do the studio stuff, I'm not aiming to polish it up and take away from anything. I just think that there are like certain instruments and like little like layering bits that could go in there that could add to it that I think would be fun. But everyone I've talked to has said the same thing, truly. And so I'm just sort of like, I'm trying to listen to that and be like, well, okay, maybe I should like focus on like a very heavy minimalism for the record, if that's like the general consensus, because I like it too. So I'm also not going against my own instinct with that. I'm just kind of, I guess I'm just shocked because you've heard the Tavora stuff, there's a lot going on. So to have people be like, you don't need anything, is just sort of also like kind of crazy, I guess.
Yeah, dude, it works so well just stripping it all back to just your voice and the guitar. It works just as well, man.
Yeah, thanks, bro. I'm excited to see what the new stuff is like, just because I've not really recorded or like made stuff that'll be like sort of in this vein. I'm used to doing what I've done in the past, but a lot of that shit was done a long time ago. So this is
whatever
like cool.
comes out. Sorry.
No, yeah. No, just new chapter.
Dude, whatever comes out, we are going to be hyping it up like motherfuckers. So
yeah, I appreciate that, and I think going into this next round of like the new shit, I wanted, because I was talking to a friend of mine and she was telling me, she was like, your stuff's good, all this stuff, like, but it's not enough, right, to just drop shit in today's world, like to just release music. Like you want to have like this sort of game plan of how it's done. Everything from videos to photo shoots to singles to like live shows to promotion, which I didn't do anything with Tavora. So the fact that it did what it did, I think is good. But with this new record, like, yeah, I want there to be like a really heavy emphasis on the way that the rollout happens. That's a lot different too, because I want to make sure every ounce of like energy goes into it, and I'm not just like making something and then just dropping it. Because I'm happy to do that with like, I did that with Vicious Circle and stuff, but I'm not really too concerned about it. That's more for me anyway, and like the people that know about it and like fuck with it.
Yeah, dude, I think a good big rollout is definitely worthy of anything you do next, for sure.
Yeah, it'll be cool, man. And I think we can, you know, we should definitely try to work on something going forward, all of us. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking. We'll figure it out. I don't know
bro.
exactly whatever whatever people's strengths are, but I mean, there's always a way to like make shit work. I think as long as the vibe is there's like something that can be done. It's mostly about energy.
Well, I think
the synchronicities are too big to ignore.
It's about like time for me, and the fact that I think I'm just gonna try to get into AI art soon. And you know, I'm not saying anything, but if you're bringing it up, like I could see myself like making like an album art, like using AI to just like get stuff faster done. But we'll see. I don't know. That sounds cool. I'm down. Yeah. So.
Yeah, man. Anything. We can always just shoot the shit, and we can hang out in the chat and just talk about things and figure it out.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely be chit-chatting for a while.
All right, I guess this is it. So, you know, you were awesome, Caleb. It was great to have you here, dude.
Yeah, man. Thank you both for having me on. This was really sick. I'm glad that we got a good, solid, fat episode here. We covered a lot of ground. I had a great time. I'd love to do it again sometime for sure.
Yeah, dude, it was a long time coming. I hope we I hope we ruined every other interview for you.
This was I think this has got to be the longest I've done one of these for sure. I think most of my shit clocks out like near 2 hours, so we went well over. So that's sick.
We're at like 240.
Yeah, 230 around there. But yeah, you wanna shout out your links, Caleb, where people could find you, stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah. So Instagram Tavora Lea, Twitter Tavora Lea. I'm on Spotify. Everywhere that you can find music, everything is a Tavora Lea, YouTube, etc. That's pretty much it. And if you end up following me on socials, all the links are there, and that's about it. And there will be things coming in the future for sure.
All right. I'm King Cringe. Obviously, you know, Substack. This will be up on YouTube. Good shit. You know. Jesse, you wanna take us home?
Yep. I'm Jesse Larkins. I'm an author. I wrote a book called Soap Scum. You can find it on Amazon.com. You can find me on Twitter. I've got a Substack too. You've been listening to Subverted Subversions, and we'll see you next time.